Right to left, looking to throw it to Malik. Got it near side 25. Hits the sideline. 15, 10, 5. Touchdown! Fighting Tigers! Daniels in the shotgun. Snap is back. Give to Diggs. Right up the middle. Logan Diggs into the end zone. Touchdown, Fighting Tigers.
LSU football on Eagle 98.1, the flagship home of the Tigers. Tonight from Tiger Stadium, it's the LSU Tigers
and the Army Black Knights.
Now,
here's Charles Hannegriff and Matt Musso.
From Rouse's Market, Burbank at Lee. Welcome to Eagle 98.1 Game Day. I'm Charles Hannegriff, along with our staff at ESPN Baton Rouge, as we take you up to kickoff of tonight's game between the LSU Tigers and the Army Black Knights. LSU comes in with a record of 5-2. This is a non-conference game, the rare October non-conference game against an opponent that is even more rare. Tigers and the Black Knights have not faced off since 1931 and have never played in Tiger Stadium. LSU last week, a 48-18 winner over Auburn. This is the 8th consecutive game that LSU will play, and their last before their only scheduled bye of the season. Tigers are ranked 19th in the nation in both polls. Black Knights come in with a record of 2-4. Last week they were blanked by Troy by a score of 19-0. Today's game has a unique flavor to it. Again, these teams, although they haven't played since the 1930s, do have some common links from their past. LSU's first national championship coach, Paul Dietzel, famously left LSU for West Point before resurfacing at South Carolina to play his first game against LSU, and then later coming back to be the Tigers' athletic director. For Army, again, not having played LSU, but back when Dietzel left, Army was arguably the best football program in the country, certainly one of those. That's no longer the case. This non-conference game will not feature a typical Service Academy triple option, wishbone, whatever you want to call it, attack. They have modernized that, but they've taken their lumps along the way. For LSU, this game is about keeping your offense on the roll that it has been on, continuing the improvements on defense, getting some people healthy, getting into your bye, and then squaring up for the biggest game of the season against Alabama. For Army, it's week 7, and the transition offensively has not gone terribly smooth. Again, they didn't score last week against Troy, so for this game, it's about trying to get better, trying to get out here, and you're a 31-point underdog, so we're not gonna sugarcoat it. But it does have some very cool overtures around the game and some of the things that are going on around campus today. For instance, there's a lot of Army veterans here that whether they went to West Point or they were just served in the military, that want to see this game in Tiger Stadium. They want to see the Black Knights against LSU for the first time. We were talking earlier today with the Frogs class of 1997. These are, and this is just one instance. It happens to be people that I know, but this is just one of many, many instances that we've heard of old Army buddies reuniting for this game. And so it does have a unique flavor to it from that standpoint. But Musso, the football part of it is that LSU is the big, big favorite today. They should win this game. They should win it fairly handily, and the manner in which they do will go a long way towards determining what the attitude is going into the bye week.
For sure. And you know what? You mentioned it, Hanny, the rare non-conference game in October, and it is, but I kind of like that they have the non-conference game going into the bye because of what you said. You can get some guys healthy. You lost Emory Jones. You can let him rest up. Mekhi Wingo's been playing hurt, according to Brian Kelly. You can let him rest up, have 20-some-odd days, and be ready to go. That's nice. And, again, yes, the uniqueness. LSU's been doing that a lot with some non-conference matchups, whether it be Southern last year, Grambling this year, now Army. If you got to play them, add some intrigue around them outside of the football game, which, as you said, you're a 32-point favorite.
Glad to have you with us here this afternoon from Rouse's. We invite you to stop by if you're on your way into campus. Pick up all of your tailgating goods here, your beer, your wine, your spirits, all your ice. Lots of food here. We're on the left-hand side where all the fun stuff is. So
of course.
Come by the Chop House or the bakery or the Mongolian Grill. You'll be sure to find something for your tailgate. Lots to do here as we get you ready for kickoff tonight. From Rouse's, this is Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Life in Louisiana is like a run-on sentence. A poem that doesn't rhyme. Life is here, now. For life's moments, big and small, always there. The right card, the right care.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206
98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Otterlocks.
Presented by Excel. For over 30 years, excellence in providing construction engineering and fabrication services. For information, visit us at excelusa.com.
Now, here's Jimmy Ott.
Here at Rouse's LeBear's countdown to kickoff, a little under 5 hours as we bring in Jimmy to take a look at today's games. Give you a little bit of extra time in front of the 2:30 window. Jimmy, good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon, Charlie.
All right, let's start at the shoe. Ohio State, right? Boy, I don't know who's screaming in the background on you, but Ohio State, a 10-6 leader at the half. That game's now deep into the third quarter. They are knocking on the door here to go up 2 scores against Penn State. What do you see?
See, 2 teams are identical. I mean, they're both similar rosters, similar quarterbacks, and the biggest, the lack of confidence by the coaches in their quarterback. I mean, they have not taken any shots. It's a punt fest. Boy, this would be huge if Ohio State does punch it in. But, I mean, it is a field position, kind of an old-school Big Ten game, and something that I kind of expected. But you can see it, man. If you play against weaker competition like Penn State does, and you don't have your passing game set and kind of coming in with a little momentum, it's not going to be easy when you play a team like Ohio State. So both coaches just scared to death of their quarterback. And I'm going to tell you where it's going on elsewhere is Fayetteville. Jefferson's throwing up on himself for Arkansas, and they just won't even throw the ball down late. I mean, 3 points 3 points for Arkansas very late in the game.
Yeah, I'm going to get to that one in a second because it is very bad. Jimmy, the big call in the Penn State-Ohio State game, a sack, a scoop and score for Penn State, the length of the field, called back for a holding penalty, a defensive holding penalty in the secondary. Ohio State, instead of being down a touchdown, found themselves with 1st and 10 at the 16 of Penn State, and that's been the difference in the ball game so far.
Trying to think, they got a field goal out of that drive, didn't they, Charlie?
No, they scored a touchdown. They got a touchdown.
So they scored a touchdown. Okay,
Yeah.
so true 14-point swing. True 14-point swing. You know, it was holding. That doesn't mean it's called all the time. So I mean, yeah, brutal, tough break because I mean we know about James Franklin and his record in these big games. He has been very, very tight. They go down 2 scores here. He's going to have to open it up and take some chances. Will Allaire make some plays, or will he force it into some coverage and turn the ball over?
That game in Fayetteville is about as ugly an offensive performance as you will ever see from 2 teams. You mentioned K.J. Jefferson. He has completed 15 out of 20 passes for an average of 3.1 yards per attempt, which is almost impossible to do. And he's run 16 times for 38 yards, which is not what we expect out of him at all. The only offense in this game, the only offense is from Mike Wright, the substitute quarterback from Mississippi State, the Vanderbilt transfer, who's run the ball a little bit, and I do mean a little bit, but this has been brutal up in Fayetteville. I expected a better effort from Arkansas.
Yeah, and it's, you know, like we talked about on the show yesterday, Charlie, though, is it just a team that's destined to play close games no matter what? It is another close game, but, I mean, whether it's BYU, LSU, Alabama, I mean, they just cannot, you know, they play to the caliber of their competition. It's just that simple. So you got another close game. Now, they were really set up 3rd and 12 for Mississippi State at their own 2-yard line. And they threw up a jump ball. The safety was late getting over, and they converted. It's a field position game. There's no doubt about that, but that was huge to get out from their own end zone. They had 3 illegal procedures in 4 snaps, or, you know, and 4 set plays for Mississippi State. But, yeah, it's been very, very little offense on either team. And, look, the weather is perfect in Fayetteville. Where there's some wind, you know, up in Annapolis and some like Cincinnati and stuff. It's perfect in Fayetteville. No excuses there.
We got an upset brewing in Norman. They've come to the end of 3 quarters, and UCF's got a 23-17 lead over Oklahoma. Jimmy, this doesn't look flukish at all. UCF is head on the yardstick. Dylan Gabriel has thrown 1 interception, but it hasn't been a turnover fest. UCF with the upper hand going to the 4th.
Yeah, Oklahoma had a 7-0 lead, but they made a couple of mistakes to keep Central Florida hanging around and kept it from, you know, expanding that lead. And then all of a sudden, Central Florida popped one, you know, for the tying touchdown. But now also John Reese Plumlee is getting in a little bit of a rhythm. You know, he does have a touchdown rushing, and he's throwing a few passes. Oh, Oklahoma is in a battle. Make no mistakes about it. Part of the win as a big underdog like today, weathering that storm, maybe getting a break, keeping it close, you know, within striking distance. That's what they've done to put them in position. So they really have a shot as we watch Penn State come over the goal line stance to keep the score 10-6.
All right, number 17, Tennessee, number 11, Alabama at 2:30 here. The Tide a 9-point favorite in this one. Jimmy, we look at this game. You know I don't like it on the schedule, but we'll stay out of that today and we'll just stay into the football part of it. Alabama looks like they've improved over the last month. Tennessee, it's a little tough to tell. They did beat A&M last week. It was a sloppy game all the way around. Alabama, a 9-point favorite this afternoon.
It's sloppy all year for Tennessee, and especially on the offensive end where Josh Heupel, you know, even at Central Florida and at Tennessee, carved out his, you know, reputation for being kind of one of the better offensive minds in college football. But, hey, it's a big drop-off from Hendon Hooker to Joe Milton. And I have a friend that likes to say, you know, very early, you know, quarterback that he can't play. I don't know who that might be. But anyway, I've seen enough of the Milton. He has not improved. What you see is what you get. It's almost like a Matt Canada offense. Lots of eye candy, lots of misdirection, but everything lateral. Or he'll let him take a shot 40 yards down the field. There is nothing in the intermediate zone for Tennessee's offensive attack. And when you go against the Nick Saban team limited in your offense, I think it's going to be a long, long day for Tennessee's offense. I like Bama, and I like the Bama under. And, Charlie, it's also Tennessee, surprisingly, it's top 20 in yards per play defense. So completely different type of team that they for Heupel in his third year at Tennessee.
Ole Miss and Auburn tonight. Interesting game in Jordan-Hare. Ole Miss wins this thing, and they could very easily go to Georgia at 8-1. They got a couple of very winnable home games after this. Auburn, the last time they were at home, gave Georgia all they wanted. We watched Auburn last week here, Jimmy. Offensively, they are challenged, and that's being nice. Ole Miss about a little under a touchdown favorite here.
Very popular pick with the betting public. It looks a little short, but when is usually the case, that's a road team, and Auburn, one thing about them, they're gonna pack the stands. Of course, the homecoming for two former Ole Miss coaches going at it, and Freeze and Kiffin. I'm kind of with the public on this one, Charlie. I just think Ole Miss so much better offensively, and I think it could get ugly in Jordan-Hare this evening, or tonight rather. So I know a lot of people are maybe citing that Georgia game where Auburn played them so tough. I think that's more of the outlier this year for the Tigers. I look for a long night. I'm with the betting public on this one, which is rare with Ole Miss minus the point.
Okay, a couple of matchups of ranked teams tonight in the 6:30 and 7 o'clock windows. Duke and Florida State from Tallahassee. They're calling Duke starting quarterback Riley Leonard a game-time decision, Jimmy. Florida State just over a 2-touchdown favorite here.
I'm expecting him to play. I don't know if he'll go the whole game. And, it's funny, Riley Leonard is a true dual-threat quarterback. But, like, the most high-profile, the game that most people saw him was Clemson. And he was more of a runner that night than he was a passer. As interesting as it is, I think the backup quarterback has got some athleticism. If they do play both, he will run the running plays, for Duke tonight. I really more and more think about it, I love Duke in this spot. Duke, I didn't think we could ever find another guy besides Cutcliffe and Spurrier who gets the most out of their limited resources in Durham. But, man, Elko is for real. And if you talk to other coaches that know Elko, they swear they're going to play with a level of physicality. You throw their top 10 in yards per play defense. You throw in there that they got juniors and seniors all over the place. They're old and mature. We saw that maturity on display when they look-ahead spot against Notre Dame. They went to Connecticut and blew their guards off where they could have gone in and be disinterested. I think we got a really, really good matchup tonight. I'm looking for a very tight game. Love the 14.5 with Duke and Joe Campbell tonight.
The other game is at the Mausoleum. Number 14, Utah, and number 18, Southern Cal. We saw Caleb Williams last week in South Bend have his worst game as a collegiate player, either at Oklahoma or at USC. Utah's been waiting on Cam Rising all year. I even heard this morning that a red shirt is possibly coming for him. So we're not expecting him, but Utah's played with the backups all year. Southern Cal about a touchdown favorite here.
I kind of like USC to bounce back. It is definitely weakness versus weakness with Utah's offense against USC's defense. But I think they'll a level of embarrassment last week, for Williams individually and also, for the USC team getting housed by Notre Dame. But, man, this Utah offense, and, man, Rising just makes that big of a difference because he can run it, he can run the option, he can throw it, he's multifaceted. I mean, maybe not an A+ in any of those, but, man, when you could do them all above average, it turns into a real thing. And he's a great leader as well. It's been with smoke and mirrors for Kyle Whittingham in Salt Lake City this year. Give him credit. They found ways to win and manipulated the game, but I think it finally catches up with Utah tonight. I think it's going to be ugly with USC against Utah.
All right, Arkansas fails on their final 4th down, so Mississippi State's going to pretty much be able to run the clock out here. Yeah. This will go down as one of the most anemic offensive performances that we have ever seen in a Southeastern Conference game for the two combined, but it looks like it's going to finish 7-3. Jimmy, who's bringing us outer locks? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, Arkansas will get its ball back for about a minute 10 and no timeout. So
they got timeouts left.
One more.
Yeah.
They got one left with on second and third down. Don't forget our friends at Excel Construction Maintenance, Turnarounds, Fabrication, Disaster Recovery, and Project Management. And the great thing about all these services, you can avoid the stress and inconvenience of having to coordinate multiple contractors. It's a one-stop shop, all with award-winning safety. For more information, go to excelusa.com.
All right, Jimmy, Football Sunday tomorrow from the Queen at 10 a.m. With Rohan Davey to start things off. We'll talk to you then.
All right, Charlie, see you.
Jimmy out with Outer Locks. Yeah, 2:07 to go. And the Arkansas fans are not the least bit interested in watching any more of this. They are filing out. And, you know, he's right, Musso, the clock with one timeout left. You get a stop here, presuming Mississippi State kicks a field goal. Well, they may not get the stop. It's going to be 3rd down and 2. This one is one of the ugliest Southeastern Conference games I've ever seen, where weather wasn't involved.
Yeah, that was a great point by Jimmy, and especially Fayetteville, where you can get some crazy weather from now. I mean, look, credit to the fans for sticking it out as long as they did after what they've seen the last few weeks, and to show up how they did today.
Big play in the Ohio State-Penn State game. Ohio State went for it on 4th and goal from the 2, didn't get it. They were going to get a 3-and-out. Well, they did get the 3-and-out, but the punt hit one of the Ohio State blockers, and so Penn State recovered it up near midfield, and they've got a drive going deep into Ohio State territory as the 3rd quarter comes to an end. We'll take a break here at Rouse's. Come on down here and get all your tailgating supplies at Rouse's, including the Rouse's products. You know, Rouse's, with their own Rouse's brand, sells many of the products as the national name brands. Same quality, but they do it at a lower price. If you see Rouse's on the label, you know it's going to be good. This is Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
It was a humid day. Barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water, they can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines, or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so
98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day, Skull Session.
Offense. Presented by Gulf Coast Bank. Gulf Coast Bank, the bank that cares about you. Now, here's Charles Hannegriff. And from the LSU Sports Radio Network, Gordy Rush.
The Bears count down to kickoff about 4 hours and 30 minutes from right now. We bring in Gordy Rush. He'll be on the sidelines tonight. Gordy, good afternoon. How are you?
Hey, guys. Good afternoon.
You know, Gordy, when we do these segments, we usually talk about what is going right, what's going wrong, what they can improve, and all that stuff. The LSU offense, I almost feel like we need to skip this segment. This is akin to when baseball teams are hitting the ball, when they're hot. They don't want a day off. They want to go back out there every day. For the LSU offense, the bye week is almost like, you know what, we'd rather keep playing. When you're playing this well, all you want to do is play more. So I don't know a whole lot that's going wrong with this LSU offense right now.
Well, look, I don't think it was a five-star performance last week against Auburn, which is scary because, I didn't ask Coach Kelly that in the postgame, but they scored 48 points on Auburn and still had 100 yards of penalties and had a turnover. So I think there's still some stuff to clean up. It wasn't their, best performance. And I think what's interesting, Army has been pretty aggressive with what they do defensively this year. They're not afraid to bring some numbers, play man behind it. It'll be interesting if they do that tonight with the disparity in talent. But I think you want to go out and have clean performance tonight before you take the open week and go to Tuscaloosa and probably play for the SEC West driver's seat.
Gordy, last week, Emory Jones went out of the game very early. Lance Hurd, who had played some early in the season but had not played as much the last couple of weeks, went in. By all accounts, it looked like a pretty strong performance for the freshman. What did you see?
Yeah, I thought he was solid. He had a couple movement penalties, but, that's a good defensive front. And they do a bunch of things on that side of the football. Obviously, they have a great evening, but I thought it's been solid. He's solid in the run game. He's getting better in pass protection. I thought it was a good performance. And he'll go again tonight. As Coach has said, they'll sit Emory and hopefully have him back for Alabama.
When you look at what Jaden Daniels is doing, the comparisons to Burrow just statistically are fine, although the two quarterbacks are very different. But what he's doing right now, he's completely mastered everything in this offense that they were hoping that he would master, Gordy. I don't know that I don't know that I've got words to tell anything more than this young man is playing at the highest possible level that you can right now. And if LSU had one less loss, he would be right there in the Heisman talk with Michael Penix. He is already, but the losses are hurting him, I guess.
Well, I think his Heisman moment will come against Alabama. He'll get that stage. I don't think a lot of people realize the Burrow Heisman campaign really didn't start to Alabama.
Right.
And so he may be a little behind, so I think that's still a play. Look, I think the two big differences with Jaden has been, number one, I think year two with Dan Brock, year two with recognition. He's seeing the football field at a very high level right now. They're on the same page. He knows what he's looking at. And because they have a running game this year and then they have a second wide receiver to go with Neighbors, it's pick your poison. You can't defend everything. And so they've seen everything imaginable the defenses that have thrown at them. They've last couple of weeks, I've been amazed at the number of double teams that Neighbors has gotten. Missouri threw doubles at Neighbors and at Brian Thomas Jr., and LSU did a great job of recognizing it. For instance, they tilted the field towards Neighbors on one of those last touchdown passes. He threw a backside post to Kyron Lacey for a touchdown. I think that's part of it. And then the rest of it is well documented. He went out to California, worked on his mechanics. He's more accurate throwing the football, and it shows.
They will get Chris Hilton back tonight. He's been out a couple of weeks, so if you do throw all of these double teams at him, you got another weapon that's coming back tonight.
Yeah, and what I like about Hilton, obviously he's got the vertical stretch and be having that track speed. And they're seeing more and more zones. I'm not sure what Kevin Steele's going to do in 2 weeks, but the more zones that you're going to see, I think it's going to open opportunities up for Neighbors and also Thomas underneath. And what Hilton could do is take the top off the defense. make sure that you're too high or having to run out of there. It's going to open a lot of football space in the middle of football field, some of those deeper in routes. And so Hilton could do that. You can also, obviously he can catch a football, and hopefully he continues to improve.
Did you get to see any of Mississippi State and Arkansas today?
Yeah, I looked at 7-3. I went to go pick up some tacos, and that was enough for me. I was good after I watched the 7-3.
Well,
Sam Pittman's got that thinker look going on right now, where he's holding his chin, and look, I love Sam. Not looking good for Sam.
Well, it's 7-3. It was a final. And it was
Was
just
that the final?
That's a final. So whatever you got, went to get tacos, nothing else happened.
Ooh, I'm so glad I left.
And not much happened before that either. We'll take a break. We'll come back and we'll talk about LSU's defense when we return here at Rouse's. This is Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Skull Session.
Defense. Presented by Edward Jones, making sense of investments. Now here's Charles Hannegriff. And from the LSU Sports Radio Network, Gordy Rush.
Bears countdown to kickoff inside of 4.5 hours now here from Rouse's. Gordy, we look at LSU defensively, and I'll ask you for sort of a third week update, the Pete Jenkins effect. We talked about the first couple of weeks and some of the things that we've seen. Now that he's been there a little bit longer, what are you watching as this defense appears to be improving?
Well, a couple of things. I think for Pete specifically, I think the defensive linemen are playing with more energy. They're getting after it. They're doing a little bit better job pass rush. We've seen them get their hands up, just some fundamental stuff. I think that you can change in 2 weeks. schematically, I think the move to a 4-3 was really smart for a lot of reasons. A 3-4, you're playing the way Pete teaches it, you play a lot of two gaps. It's a little more technique, in my opinion. Four down linemen probably fits the cast of characters they have a little bit better. And it's less technique. You're shooting gaps. You got those big edge kids, especially the transfers in. And then we saw a little bit of Parashand at defensive end last week against Auburn. Can get up the field. It's less fundamental. It's more instinctive, more athletic, and you know that you have talent there. It also I think it solved the question where to play Harold Perkins Jr. So you're playing a 4-3, he's playing the strong side linebacker. It's got some similarities to the nickel and what he was doing last year, but I like the four-man front better. And then on the backside, and I'm getting outside your question, but they've solidified the personnel, playing a little bit more zone, and I think they're just getting a better feel for what they have. They're committed to a scheme and some personnel.
When you talk about Perkins, playing the Sam, I've heard it referred to as the nickel Sam, which is, I guess, accurate. But if you could kind of go into a little bit of depth about what that means against certain formations, because before it was, we don't want Perkins in coverage. We always want him rushing the passer.
Right.
But that has actually evolved a little bit. He's been better in coverage, and it's given LSU some more options.
No, absolutely. Look, I think number one, you keep the same personnel package on the field. I think there were times which, they could go nickel and then they would go dime and some sort of race car package, and you'd see some faster rushers come into the game. But it's really either or right now. It's the base, and you stay in your base more because Perkins can play that Sam or nickel. And so I think continuity is a big thing, right? You're not changing out the DBs as much as you were, and I think it avoids some of the confusion and some of the breakdowns that busted coverages, busted run supports, and I think there's some consistency with that. And then, I will tell you that, when they moved him to inside linebacker, and I thought one of the big things was just seeing how he reacted in coverage, especially having to deal with play action and trying to pick up receivers that quarterbacks would try to throw the football on either side of him and pick up that area behind him because they knew he'd be green in coverage. He is better in coverage. I think he's much better in coverage outside as a strong safety, and that's evidence, when he's playing that nickel, I guess. There's one or two plays against Auburn where he ran down a swing pass. He's able to fight through a bubble screen where he's really able to show off his athleticism.
Gordy, they ran some zero last week against Auburn. Do you think that's something that they ran just because Auburn was so weak on the outside, for lack of a better word, and they felt like they could get away with it? Or is that something that they will be able to use when they get back into conference play?
I don't think it's as easy as just being A, B, or C. You want to be able to show that you do everything. And, yes, some of it, I think Auburn was so anemic. And then, when they went with Ashford, the running quarterback, you really didn't have to play over the top. And truthfully, you look at the rest of the schedule, I think Florida might have the best passing attack that's left in the conference. The question is how good is Florida? So I think you can get away with it a little bit. I think they're still trying to figure out exactly what they have with the personnel grouping. And I did that social piece with the film room with Coach Kelly on Monday. And I thought it was really interesting what he said about Dy Alexander. They tried to flip him more to what I would call the boundary corner into the short side of the field, because where he's best and he's most comfortable is in jam and press coverage because he's so long. And they feel like if he can get his hands on the guy, he's going to be closer, and you're not going to see the separation that you saw at Missouri when they caught a couple touchdowns in the first half. And I think that's just a good example right now. They're finally getting to the point, hey, here's our personnel. Here's what he does good. Here's what we do good when he's in the game. Well, let's start running that. And so I think they're narrowing down their focus.
Well, Gordy, you kind of answered my question there with the secondary, so I'll ask a different one, kind of centered more towards the entire defense tonight, I guess. Since it's not obviously the traditional triple option, but it's still got plenty of principles. What they've been really trying to improve on is the back end. What can they continue to improve on running against I don't want to call it a gimmick offense, but something that, you're kind of stepping out of what you normally see for 1 week?
Yeah, well, I tell you, watching Army this year has been, has been something, trying to figure that out. I mean, 2 years ago, they cut out chop blocking out on the perimeter and down the field, so they've gone away from the triple option. They have to go away from the triple option. They hired a coordinator, Thatcher, from Nebraska. Kearney, who's a spread guy. He was with Jordan, was it Tamu or at Ole Miss? You might remember him, Charlie. So he's been around, and he's a spread guy. There's no doubt about it. They opened up with the spread. They lost to UL Monroe. They got into a shootout over in the Alamo Dome with Texas San Antonio and actually won that football game. And gradually, they were really inconsistent offensively. And I saw the Boston College game where they lost 27-24. And basically, they have Daly, a quarterback, and they got two Tommy Banks-looking running backs at the bowling balls. And it's a modified, spread the run, power spread the run. Look, I think a couple things. With this, what I do like this prepares you for, there's a lot of things that you're going to see in Alabama, who's more of a spread the run. You're going to see a power running game. You're going to see a quarterback, and their quarterback Daly, 6'2", 215. He can run a little bit. That you're going to have to account for him. So it's going to make sure your run fits are good. And then the big pass plays are going to come big shots over the top. And you think what Alabama's done, they haven't consistently, thrown the football down the field a la Ole Miss. They're not going to pick you apart and drive it. They're going to hit big shots down the field. And that's what Army's going to do. Their leading receivers have 15 and 9, respectively, after 6 football games, which isn't great. So I think that's what it's going to teach you. Hey, we're going to have to be really consistent with our run fits, which they did a good job against Auburn. And then we're going to, as a defensive secondary, we're going to have to play pass first every play, even though this is going to be a huge run tendency football team. Because the time that I go asleep once or twice and blow my assignment, that's when they're going to bust it for a big play.
Gordy, I'm delighted that they have running backs that look like Tommy Banks.
I knew you were going there.
It'll ensure that somebody calls the post-game show and asks me why they're not getting the ball more, right?
I'm trying to feed you and Dick Dixon some good content here tonight for Army in case this game goes to 30-point spread. I've been there with you, Charlie.
I know.
And I know you're trying to get some calls.
Well, we appreciate your efforts, Gordy.
Yep.
Have a great call and enjoy the off week, and we'll talk to you 2 weeks when they go to Tuscaloosa.
Okay, guys. Enjoy Rouse's. Take care.
Thanks a lot. We're brought to you in part by AJ's Sports Cards, located off Drusilla, open from 9:30 until 6 Monday through Friday, and on Saturdays from 9:30 until 2. Football, baseball, and basketball cards, and a good variety of Pokemon cards, always with new products coming in, and they've got some high-end products in stock. All the supplies you need for collectors, like cases and sleeves. And during the month of October, they're running a silent auction with proceeds going to the American Cancer Society. And among the unique items you can bid on is a Dylan Cruz signed LSU helmet, an Angel Reese framed signed LSU jersey with 2 signed pictures, and a Joe Burrow framed signed LSU jersey. The auction ends on October 31st at 6 o'clock. Bidders will need to come in store to place their bids. You can also check them out on Facebook, AJ Sports Cards 225. From Rouse's, Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Life in Louisiana is a song. A symphony of sound, colors, and movement. Life is here, now. For life's moments, big and small, always there. The right card, the right care.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast office products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs.
98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day Scouting Report.
Presented by Demco. Demco, powering lives, brightening the future.
Welcome back in, Eagle 98.1 Game Day here from the Rouses on Burbank and Lee. LSU and Army. We're continuing to count you down to the 6:30 kickoff in Death Valley tonight. Welcome in Jim Nagy, the executive director of the Reese's Senior Bowl, for our weekly scouting report. Jim, we appreciate the time as always. How are you?
Sound great, Matt.
All right, Jim. So Army's in town this weekend. Kind of figured it'd be a good opportunity to maybe focus back in on LSU a little bit. You know, obviously we did this earlier in the year. I believe it was the Grambling week. Now a little bit past the halfway point in the season. Kind of get another check-in on some of the LSU guys, maybe some movers, sleepers, guys who have helped hurt their stock, things of that nature. And, I mean, we could talk about the offense as a whole, and I want to do that. But it would feel foolish to start anywhere else than with number 5, Jaden Daniels, who has just really set the college football world on fire over the first half of the year. So kind of where I want to start is we talked about him back in September when we did this. Looking at expectation for him scouting-wise coming into the year, has he exceeded that now halfway through the season?
Well, I think he's continued on the upward trajectory that he was last year. I think we talked about it earlier in the year that Jaden was our most improved quarterback that we saw last year, right from beginning to the end, and then he's kind of picked up where he left off. He's getting a little overshadowed right now, on the national scene. I think a lot of the spotlight has been on the Pac-12 guys with Caleb Williams at USC, and then that big game last week between Oregon and Washington with Bo Nix and Michael Penix. I think that, Jaden's been a little bit ignored down here, but obviously Tiger fans know exactly what he's been, a true dual threat guy. He can really pull him down and run it. Now, I would like to see him, avoid some contact when he does that. He's kind of an upright runner. He kind of gallops around and makes himself susceptible to some heavy contact. So I'd like to see him learn to protect himself a little bit, but he's dangerous with his legs. I mean, he can truly hurt you that way.
Jim, there were a lot of loud cheers in Tiger Stadium last week against Auburn. Perhaps one of the loudest was when Jaden Daniels slid on a run in the first quarter. I mean, you're not alone in that, man. Everyone down here wants to see him protect himself a little more as well. So when you look at him at the next level, I think something that's always interesting is quarterbacks. Some of them get there, they're ready to play. Some of them need to sit. Think a guy like Jordan Love right now. He sat and now has taken over for the Packers. Where does Jaden Daniels fall into that category? Is he somebody who could be a franchise immediately, or does he need to sit and kind of learn the system a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, that's kind of where we're at right now with his grade. I don't know if he's a guy that someone's going to draft to get on the field right away. And usually if you take those guys in the first round, it feels like those guys all get pushed on the field in their first year. So is he going to be a first-round guy? I don't know about that. Is he a guy that I think teams are going to see as a guy that could start at the next level? Yes, I do. I think he's worked his way into, and that's really how a lot of teams grade. I've worked for a number of different teams in the league, and some teams assign a grade level to a player, like a round projection, and then the other ones, they grade based off what the role they're going to fit on the football team is. And there's different levels of starting quarterback, right? There's franchise quarterbacks, guys that you win because of that person. You go to playoffs, you win Super Bowls because of that quarterback, and then there's just like solid starter level players that if you're good around him, you can achieve good things. So I think Jaden's going to be in that conversation for most teams. Is he like what level of starter, or is he just a really good backup? But that's a good place to be. I mean, that's usually, in at least the third or fourth round range. So yeah, Jaden's really helped himself the last couple of years. Again, he still takes a lot of contact, but at least he's put on a bunch of weight and he can absorb some of that punishment. But no, he's having a great year. He's throwing the ball really well. He's making good decisions. They're just playing really efficiently on offense.
Yeah, so I'm going to get a thought on the offense as a whole, but a couple more individuals. So from the guy taking the snap to the guy snapping the ball, Charles Turner, a guy who is beloved here because he's kind of the outlier in college football now. I mean, he's waited his turn and is finally kind of reaping the benefits of that. Was named the Outland Trophy National Player of the Week for his performance against Auburn, and that was coming off of a knee injury against Missouri. What kind of improvement maybe have y'all seen from a guy like Charles Turner in the middle?
Yeah, you're probably asking the wrong guys because we like Charles Turner a lot over the summer. That is not a new name for us. The first game I watched over the summer at Charles was the Alabama game. That's always a really good, kind of benchmark game is to watch him against that Alabama front because they're physical and they get after people. And thing with Charles is for a guy that came in as, I've read things, he was 240, 250 coming out of high school, and it took him time to gain weight and strength. So I think that's still a work in progress. That's what NFL teams are going to want to see, just him, continue to add bulk and strength. But he's really a good athlete, man. I mean, he really is. I mean, the guy can get out in space. He can play at the second level and cover people up. He looks like a starting level center in the NFL to me this summer, and he hadn't gotten a lot of pub. I hadn't heard a lot about him. So when I watched the tape, I'm like, why hasn't this guy gotten more love? Why haven't I heard of this guy more? So no, he's a good player and he's playing well. I'm glad he got that recognition. He's certainly a guy, especially for like a zone blocking scheme where they're not asked to come off the ball and really move people. They're working more laterally and covering guys up and using their athleticism and their quickness. He's a perfect fit for a scheme like that.
Talking with Jim Nagy, the executive director of the Reese's Senior Bowl, focusing in on the LSU guys here this week. Jim, one more on the offensive line, guy who plays next to Charles Turner, Miles Frazier at right guard. Interesting guy here, too, because came in last year, played some tackle and guard for LSU on the right side, maybe got off to a little bit of a slow start, but Brian Kelly has been very complimentary of him the last few weeks and the right side of the line as a whole. What kind of improvement have you seen from him? Obviously coming from a smaller school and now in his second year at LSU.
Yeah, he's another guy we liked over the summer, honestly. We had a good draftable grade on him as well. So maybe we just, I had a really good day when I watched those guys over the summer. I was in a good mood, but we like Miles Frazier as well. Yeah, he has made a nice jump. I mean, we liked him over the summer, but he's definitely made a big jump. I mean, he looks stronger. When you're playing inside at guard, I mean, you got to play square. You can't get, your edges worked through. As scouts like to say, you can't let these guys work through this, get upfield penetration. He's done a really nice job of that. Nice job protecting the pocket in pass protection. So, yeah, he's put himself in a position to be drafted. And I know we were going to talk about the entire offense, but I think all these guys are getting drafted.
And that's where we're going next. So, look, there's one thing that perturbs LSU fans a lot, and it's when people try to compare teams to the 2019 LSU Tigers. The odd thing is this is really the first time it's been LSU's own team being compared to that, specifically on the offensive side. When you just said all 11 guys have a chance to be drafted on this offense, that really puts that comparison into perspective, though, yes?
Yeah, it does, and I would hesitate to compare anyone to that 2019 team. I mean, that was a historic all-time team, led by a number one pick at quarterback. So I don't think that's fair. I've seen some stuff with Jaden, the fan base over there, being pretty critical of Jaden, maybe because he doesn't measure up to Joe Burrow. But again, that's a pretty high bar if you're comparing guys to Joe Burrow and a quarterback that has already led his team to a Super Bowl in his young career. But no, back to this year's team. I mean, if we haven't studied the younger guys, so like we haven't studied Will Campbell or Emory Jones or Dellinger, but those guys, when you're watching Turner and Frazier, you can't help but notice how good the rest of the line is. And then we've seen Mason Taylor make plays over the last 2 years. He's only a sophomore. I can't imagine a guy with those bloodlines doesn't get drafted. His dad was a great Senior Bowl player in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And then Neighbors and Thomas have been what the school thought they would be. I went there in October and talked to the coaching staff, and they thought both those guys were going to have monster years, and they have. And then at running back, Diggs and Josh Williams. I know that I posted something on Twitter last week about Josh Williams, and just from the responses on Twitter, I can tell he's a fan favorite, and he's certainly a fan of everyone in the building. And then it was cool to see the Auburn Tiger killer John Emery get back in there last week and get some run. I mean, honestly, like, you laugh, but John has showed NFL talent over the time of his career there. Like, has it materialized into consistent production? It hasn't, but he's been in that LSU running back room, and coming from the NFL, I mean, we used to think very highly of that room. He's going to get a chance. I don't know if John will get drafted, but he's certainly going to get a chance. All those other guys that are NFL drafted.
It's a rare occurrence. I mean, when you have 11 guys potentially on the offensive side of the ball all at once that eventually will get drafted. Jim, one more on the way out, I guess, defensively. I mean, I'll leave this one kind of open-ended. The units obviously had their struggles, but y'all have had plenty of guys on the watch list coming into this season. Anybody really flash for y'all on the defensive side for LSU?
Yeah, Ovi Agofu has. We watched him a little bit a year ago when he was at Texas. He splashed a little bit. Zy Alexander and Major Burns in the secondary have had their moments, as Andre Sam has. I mean, they collectively as a group, I think they, just from the outside looking in, probably some communication issues. You basically cobbled together a group of players that were all at other schools last year and tried to make them a cohesive unit. That's really hard to do. So I know they're trying to, piece it together and get through this year and then really build for the future. I think these guys are trying hard, but I would say Burns and Alexander have definitely had their moments. Again, I don't know if they've worked their way up into like draftable conversation, but they've had moments where they've certainly flashed some playmaking ability.
He is Jim Nagy, the executive director of the Reese's Senior Bowl, with us every week here on Eagle 98.1 Game Day, scouting the competition. Although today we looked at the LSU Tigers. Jim, we appreciate the time. Bye week next week, but when we talk to you next, it'll be Tigers and Tide in Tuscaloosa. We look forward to it. Thank you for your time.
Oh, that's going to be a big one. Can't wait. I'll see you, Matt.
Absolutely. That is Jim Nagy, the executive director of the Reese's Senior Bowl. We're going to take a break, come back here from Rouse's on Burbank and Lee. This is Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
We're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. I think we're rocking and rolling.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency.
98.1. The First South Farm Credit College Football Scoreboard. First South Farm Credit, financing farms and land since 1916.
We started the shoe where there's 3:19 to go, and Ohio State leads Penn State 20-6. It's been a rough go for both of these offenses and both of these young quarterbacks, but Kyle McCord has had the advantage over Drew Allar. McCord 286 yards and a touchdown. The touchdown was to Marvin Harrison on the last drive. Harrison's got 11 catches for 162 yards and a touchdown as Ohio State. Penn State does have the football, but going to be a tough uphill climb with 3:19 to go. Number 6, Oklahoma, leading Central Florida 31-23. A minute 24 to go, but UCF has the ball at the Oklahoma 12-yard line. We'll come back to that one at the end of the scoreboard. Baylor leading Cincinnati 32-29. A minute 25 to go in Cincinnati. Ohio leading Western Michigan 20-17 in the fourth quarter. At halftime, Georgia Southern leads UL Monroe 31-13. Also at halftime, Bowling Green leads Akron 13-7. Earlier finals today in college football. Rutgers gets bowl eligible. They beat Indiana 31-14. It was Boston College over Georgia Tech 38-23. That Baylor game is now gone final. Baylor 32 and Cincinnati 29. Check that has gone final.
Yeah, I'm looking at it final.
Okay,
too.
got it.
Shout out Dave Aranda.
Number 22 Air Force beat Navy 17-6. Memphis beat UAB 45-21. Mississippi State beat Arkansas 7-3. If you watch this, my condolences, because this was one of the worst offensive football games in the Southeastern Conference that I've ever seen. K.J. Jefferson threw for 97 yards and an interception. This was a game that looked like it was played in a mud pit somewhere.
Straight out the Big Ten West.
It was really, really ugly. All right, the 2/3 is 4th and 30 for Penn State. They will be sacked. So Ohio State's going to win. Penn State's got their timeouts left, but realistically, that will end the chances for the Nittany Lions right there. All right, starting here as we speak, Washington State trying to shake off that ugly performance offensively against Arizona last week. They face a probably pretty angry Oregon Ducks team in Eugene. Number 17, Tennessee at number 11, Alabama. South Carolina at number 20, Missouri. North Texas at number 23, Tulane. Wisconsin's at Illinois. Northwestern at Nebraska. Pitt at Wake Forest. Okie State at West Virginia. Central Michigan at Ball State. Eastern Michigan at Northern Illinois. Buffalo at Kent State. At 3 o'clock, number 8, Texas goes to Houston. That's a conference game for 1 year. Longhorns are a 23.5-point favorite. Toledo is at Miami of Ohio. That's for the driver's seat in the MAC. UTSA and Florida Atlantic at 5 o'clock. Also 5 o'clock kickoff for Hawaii and New Mexico from Albuquerque. 5:30 kickoff in Chapel Hill. Number 10 North Carolina takes on Virginia. Careful of Tar Heels now. They are 6-0. Okay. They are big favorites today. They will be favored, I believe, in every game the rest of the way. And they've got a chance. And now with Tez Walker there, that offense looks a lot different, doesn't it?
3 touchdowns last week. I mean, he was a grown man in that game.
He was. The only I said they'll be favored in every game. They probably will not be favored against. They may not be favored at Clemson. Okay,
that's fair. That's fair.
Depends on what happens between now and then. And Clemson's got one today with Miami, but they have a shot to go undefeated. They have a shot to run a table. And Drake May looks like a whole different new lease on life since Walker got in the lineup. Number 13, Ole Miss is at Auburn. That's a 6 o'clock kickoff. Also 6 o'clock kickoffs for Texas Tech and BYU. TCU and Kansas State. App State and Old Dominion. Coastal Carolina is at Arkansas State. Colorado State, after that miracle last week against Boise, they take on UNLV. Utah State at San Jose State. 6:30 kickoff for number 2 Michigan and Michigan State. Sign stealing?
Sign stealing. Trash cans. Do we have trash cans?
It's October. I mean, one of the more bizarre stories that you will see. Number 16, Duke is at number 4, Florida State. Riley Leonard, starting quarterback for Duke, is a game-time decision. 7 o'clock kickoff at the Mausoleum for number 14 Utah, number 18 USC. Caleb Williams, 3 interceptions a week ago against Notre Dame. Will try to bounce back. 7 o'clock kickoff in Miami for Clemson and the Miami Hurricanes. Georgia State is at UL Lafayette. 8 o'clock kick for Nevada and San Diego State. 9:30 kickoff for Arizona State and number 5 Washington. And a 9:30 kickoff your late game in Stanford on the farm. Number 25 UCLA is out there to take on Stanford. Now, we had an update. You're watching Ohio State's bleeding timeouts here from Penn State. They lead it 20-6, and UCF scored, missed a 2-point conversion. 31-29, Oklahoma with 1:09 to go. UCF has called their first 2 timeouts. Oklahoma's got 3rd and 13 from midfield with 1 minute to go. So UCF clinging to some hope here.
Yeah, a little bit of hope.
Do they have a 3rd timeout? I'm not sure.
I'm trying to find that actually right now.
We'll keep you up to date on that one, and that is your college football scoreboard. We are brought to you by Supreme Rice and SupremeRice.com, your perfect complement for any tailgate. You can pick up Supreme Rice here at Rouse's, the brown, the long grain, the medium grain, or the jasmine. If you're making an etouffee, you're making jambalaya, you're making red beans or white beans. And as we get into the month of November with all those home games, we're going to have time for gumbo as well. So make it with Supreme Rice and support our Louisiana farmers down in southwest Louisiana since the 1930s. All of our Supreme Rice grown, milled, and processed right there in southwest Louisiana. And to make sure that future generations of rice farmers are going to be able to do the same things, they're part of the Climate Smart program, which reduces methane emissions and promotes water conservation. For more information and some great recipes, go to the website. Check them out at SupremeRice.com.
They did not have a timeout. The game is over.
The game is over. So Oklahoma holds on 31-29.
31-29.
31-29 is the final from Norman. We will take a break. Shea Dixon is with us when we return. We'll talk a little recruiting. Rouse's Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Life in Louisiana is like a run-on sentence. A poem that doesn't rhyme. Life is here, now. For life's moments, big and small, always there. The right card, the right care.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206
98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Recruiting with Shay Dixon from On3 Sports. Presented by Ralph's Market. Ralph's Market, where quality and customer service are a family tradition.
Bears count down to kickoff, about 3 hours and 50 minutes here at Ralph's as we bring in Shay Dixon from On3. Shay, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, Charlie?
I feel like I've aged a bunch because I watched Mississippi State and Arkansas today, and it took years off my life. But other than that, everything's going fine. Thanks for asking.
Well, I'm hoping you didn't watch Penn State, Ohio State, because that was slightly less.
It's a little bit better.
Painful to watch.
It was a little bit better. Not to mention we like the outcome a little bit better, but that's a whole different thing. Shay, big recruiting weekend last week, so let's go back to that first before we get to today's visitor list. 2 commitments come out of that one out of the class of 24, one out of the class of 25. So let's start with C.J. Jackson, the edge from Georgia, who was he is the 24 commitment that pledged to LSU last week.
That was a big one. He decommitted from Georgia Tech a week earlier. He's from Georgia, so that's the connection there. And his mom was big on Georgia Tech's education. He was they had gotten hot over the summer and popped some in-state guys. He was one of them. But LSU had him on an official visit in June. They had him on campus in the spring. So very familiar with him. And they had gone after Colin Simmons, remember, a 5-star edge rusher out of Texas, for a while. And C.J. Jackson, I think people almost sort of forgot about. Well, when Simmons went to Texas, LSU continued even back to when C.J. committed, recruiting C.J. Jackson, a top 100 prospect, number 7 edge rusher. So when he opened things back up, he said LSU's one of just 2 teams that never stopped calling. And they got him to campus right away. And while he was on campus, announced his commitment before leaving and gives LSU someone who at least we're high on 3 as him as a top 10 edge rusher, top 100 player in the country. He'll end up being one of LSU's 5 or 6 highest ranked signees. So that was a very big addition.
All right, the other commitment came from the class of 25, Teron Francis, a wide receiver from Edna Carr, the one they call the man-child. So you tell us about him.
That's a good way to start right there. If you get the name man-child and you're going to Carr or Aug or Warren Easton or any of those schools and people actually call you that, it's not self-appointed, then you're pretty good. And he's a freak. I mean, he's a guy with college-ready size at receiver, only a junior right now in high school. And Carr's got a lot of kids for the future. I mean, they have a D lineman that's already got an LSU offer. They have one of the top 5 safeties in America who's an underclassman who has an LSU offer. So this could, right now, LSU has 3 Carr kids on the team right now. I think we could see a run of Carr kids, which is a good thing. You want to stay active at Carr, at St. Aug, at those schools. But it's also notable, Charlie, because now this is 2 wide receivers committed for next year, one being 5-star Decorian Moore, who leads up in this week in the On3 rankings to the number 4 overall player in the country, regardless of position. And then you add a guy like Teron Francis, a 4-star, who's going to be Louisiana's top receiver. That is a very, very nice start. And I'll tell you what, these kids are seeing what Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas are doing. And that's a big selling point right now for the staff.
What were your other takeaways from the recruiting weekend against Auburn last week, besides the 2 commitments?
The biggest thing I think was that they had 3 Texas A&M commitments on campus at a time when now they're on bye, but A&M has lost back-to-back games, and the teams are kind of circling around A&M right now in terms of Texas, LSU, Florida, Auburn, a lot of schools trying to get back in on Texas A&M guys. And we saw Draylon Miller, the 4-star wide receiver out of Silsbee, and out of his decommitment shortly after being on LSU's campus. He had picked A&M over LSU back in the summer, and now people feel, I feel this way too, that LSU's trending as the team to beat as long as he's not winding up back at A&M at some point. But I do know that those three guys, including Terry Bussey, a 5-star, Gabe Relaford, in my opinion, I think he'll finish as Louisiana's highest-ranked D lineman coming out of Evangel. Those guys all being on campus was big. And, Charlie, I know this is not hard for you to do, but if I'm an LSU fan, I'm rooting for A&M to lose games because right now the buzz around Jimbo and that program after dropping back-to-back games is I thought this was one of those years where we were taking a step forward and we're either going to finish 8 and 9 wins again or fall short of that. And I've said it all the time. No recruit leaves the school because you lose one game. But if you get to the end of the season and you underperformed or fallen short of expectations and you're being recruited by a team like LSU on offense who has the best offense in America and in year 2 under Brian Kelly is still alive for another SEC West title, that matters. So one game, no. A season, yes. A&M cannot afford to have another season go south.
Shay, I get asked about it so often, and I now have it bookmarked in my phone, Jimbo's buyout. It's $76.8 million this year, depending on what day they fire him, because if they fire him like inside of a month, he gets the additional month's salary. So don't forget to add don't forget to add whatever the buyout total is. If he gets in a partial month, he gets another $762,500 for that month. But $76.8 million this year, $67.5 next year, $48.7 the year after that. So I got it bookmarked because I've been asked about it so often. I want to stay current.
For sure. I mean, look, it's that they got a lot of money there, but that's a lot of money.
Yeah. That's the thing, right, Charlie? Does it matter? Does it matter if it's now or a year or 2? Does it matter?
Well, not to me, but it's not my money.
Yeah.
I mean, even at Texas A&M, $80 million is real money.
Then you got to pay someone else.
Yeah,
and a
to
whole
go
other staff.
away.
Yeah,
to go away. So, listen, I remember the teeth gnashing here when Les Miles was bought out for approximately 12, and Ed Ogeron was bought out for about 17. Again, I know they've got more money there, but $80 million is $78 million. That's real money for anybody to just give to escort somebody out of the building. So I don't know.
Shay,
whenever I slip up in my job, they don't really ever offer me any of this. Like,
not at all.
Hey, look,
mine either.
Give you a couple million to walk away.
Yeah, I'll call you from the Bahamas.
Shay, I have a bit of a big picture for you here. I remember earlier this month, you were on with Matt, and you were talking about the DB class and that it was one of the best ones in the country. Obviously, they lose Andre Evans to Georgia this week. One recruit doesn't make a class, obviously. Just given how that position has gone the last couple of years at LSU, being so heavy in the transfer portal, this unit they're bringing in being so highly thought of, what kind of impact is that losing Andre Evans to the Bulldogs?
I think that was a big deal because, look, I've said time and again that they really need to find a way to build up from the high school ranks, right? Like Brian Kelly said from the day he got the job, he wants to develop. That's what he prides himself on. He thinks he can hire a staff that develops guys. Well, when you're living in the portal, that's not development by and large. Most of those guys you take are older. They're veterans. You're taking them for a reason because they're already experienced in playing. How do you get back to DBU is what fans ask. Well, that's a multi-year rebuild. I said that from the start because they were so low on numbers. Now, all of a sudden, it's like, man, are you going into year 3 of the rebuild? The fortunate part of this is Zy Alexander and Denver Harris and these guys, they aren't in their final year of college. So, in theory, everybody could come back and you could have the same corners next year. But they really want to take 4 or 5 corners in high school, develop them. And if you hit on 2 or 3, that's perfect. That's exactly what you want. But when you lose on one of your highest ranked guys who probably had more of the long-term upside than a lot of corners in this class, he's only played football at corner for about a year and a half, that stings. And we'll see. Tommy Day is not here yet. I think that they will flip B.B. Causey, who's committed to Ole Miss out of New Orleans, and we'll see if there aren't others. But I do think that it's worrisome from like D-line signing none last year, and then corner just knowing what we see on the field combined with that they don't have a lot of guys that they've been bringing in from the high school ranks stings. So this class is very important when it comes to signing 4 or 5 guys you feel good about.
Shay, let's talk about who's on campus today.
It's a lighter visitor list than most days. Obviously, not being an SEC game, stepping outside the conference for this Army bout. But I will say that they'll have some notable guys, a lot of younger guys, but time to start getting familiar with them. We know Blaine Bradford over at Catholic. He's the number one safety in the country. I know he's been banged up, and they hope to get him back here soon. But he'll be back on campus. Jakeem Stewart out of St. Aug will come in after his game. He's the number one D lineman in the country, number 2 overall prospect out of that sophomore class. They've got a kid from Maryland coming down, Fahim Delani, who's the number 2 safety in the country for next year. Aiden Hall, who I mentioned out of Edna Carr, is a top 5 safety. He'll be back. And then a number of kids out of Georgia. And one, interesting enough, and Joe Sloan is doing such a good job, I think, with quarterback recruiting, that they've got their quarterback for this year. You're in it on Bryce Underwood and McIntyre next year. And you can already kind of at least dip your toe into the younger guys, beyond 2025 class. And they've got a freshman coming in from California, Daniel Milkey, who, yes, a freshman, that's far out. It's a quarterback. But this kid's already got Georgia offers, Michigan offers, a number of other big schools. So Sloan's got him and his family coming in from California. Doesn't have an LSU offer yet, probably a little too far out for that. But just a notable thing of as Jaden Daniels continues to tear apart college football right now, quarterbacks are noticing, and it seems like every visit weekend there's one guy that's coming in that you'd say, I didn't even realize LSU was after him. There's the number 2 quarterback in the sophomore class or whatever it is. So they seem to be in a very good groove right now in terms of getting guys on campus who are paying attention to what they're doing on offense.
Shay, what's coming up after the game on 3?
We're going to catch up with a number of these guys and see if there's going to be any more buzz around commits coming, especially at DB, to guard stick. I know a lot of people are watching Kai Bates at corner, but catching up with a lot of guys that were on campus for the game, see what they thought of it, and take it from there, Charlie. And then I get a bye week, which will be nice.
Well, we decided we're going to come here and have a staff meeting next week just to keep the the process rolling. So we'll call you in the middle of the afternoon next week just to check in, But no, I think everybody's looking forward to the break and enjoy it. I know you worked without very much time off here during this time of the year, so enjoy the break, Shay. We'll talk to you from Tuscaloosa in 2 weeks.
Yeah, thanks, Moose. If you text me this week about what time I'm coming on, I'm not responding.
I'm not gonna text you, Shay. I'm not gonna text you.
All right, guys.
Thanks. I told them that we were going to have a staff meeting here next week. You should have seen the look on their faces, like they thought it was serious for a second. It's like, no,
I wasn't going to be here. I promise you that.
We'll be watching football, but we'll be watching it from probably a sofa somewhere.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. A nice recliner, maybe. Yeah,
exactly. We'll take a break. When we come back, OTB is on game day. We're here at Rouse's. Stop by for all your tailgating supplies, all your beer, all your wine, all your spirits, all your ice. Great selection of food here on the left-hand side of the store. Get all your all of your tailgating supplies here at Rouse's, just off the campus, Burbank and Lee. Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's
98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Off the bench on Game Day. Presented by Shell. Shell is the rhythm of Louisiana. Off the Bench is heard weekday mornings from 7 to 10 on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Now from OTB, Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
I want to start with LSU. I want to start talking about that O-line, but I had just a little food for thought before we get into that. Look, I love Army. I get nothing but respect for the kids and the armed forces and everything that we always talked about. And look, I think the camo end zones are a nice tribute. I think it's going to be a very fun celebratory weekend in Tiger Stadium. But I'll be damned, Jake, if after coming off of 5 straight SEC games, if this week just doesn't really reinforce just how much I love big-time matchups, right? Like, I just don't feel like I got any juice for the LSU game this weekend. I feel like I need to be existentially threatened. Otherwise, I just kind of feel like I'm going through the motions. Like, it's just the more and more we get into this year, I'm realizing that I just have I don't care about the rent-to-wins. And maybe that's, I mean, I don't know. I don't think I'm being unfair in saying that here. Like, Army's not going to beat LSU, and it's not disrespectful. LSU puts way more money and way more of their identity and way more everything into football, and it's just a situation where, again, if kind of what's the point of it? What do you gain? Are you only exposing yourself to risk? It's not really a pseudo buy. Army's going to play hard as hell, hit you hard as hell. Like, you're not going to come out of it feeling like good. On the other side, I don't know, man. Here's to hoping in the new future of college football that we can get the good on good every single week.
This matchup, maybe it's because of my family's background. I'm actually pretty excited for it. If you're going to have one of these games, I'd rather it be Army than almost anybody else or something like this. This is a football team that is not just going to put a bad product out there. It's not going to be one where. And look, we've seen some of those over the last couple of years. I mean, it's a football team that, has played Syracuse tough, played Boston College tough. Are they a good football team? No, I wouldn't put them in that category. But, they play fundamentally sound. And, again, there's just the Army portion of this and the troops portion of this. And getting a chance to see Army-Navy last year and to see the pride and the passion that this football program has. And so I completely agree 99% of the time with you. Like, I don't need to see LSU and McNeese ever again in my life. Or a lot of other teams I could throw out there. I didn't mean to throw just a stray at McNeese. Arkansas State.
Everybody's going to stop being sensitive, though. It's not strays. It's not strays. It is what it is. They're not good games. They're not good products for the consumer that's spending hundreds of dollars. There's millions of dollars that goes into putting on this entertainment. And they're just games that don't have any entertainment value either. If your biggest argument is, oh, well, they're good family games because less people care about them. I think that's kind of fundamentally flawed in the entertainment space.
Yeah. We have multiple, military bases here in Louisiana. You've got Fort Polk that's right there, not too far from here, Army base. And so, like, there's intrigue in this one to me, but it's only because of who the opponent is. It's a lot of other opponents that I would agree with you. And in this portion of the season as well, when you've been on kind of a heater, certainly offensively, you've played all these SEC games. This is going, if you're trying to look at it from the other side, this is an opponent that, even though they don't run their normal triple option, it's an offense you're not going to see the rest of the year, so it's not going to help you down the road.
Yeah. I mean, look, I don't want to spend too long in it. It's really, like, two things have struck me through the course of the season. First, that I don't actually like the blowouts as much as I like the close ones. Sure, last week was great. All three phases of the game, the most complete game that LSU played. But quite frankly, it was kind of the least interesting post-game shoe to do because of that. And even our film review was way short, right? And so this is just that same sort of deal. But it's all well and good. I do want to talk Joe Moore Award because LSU's offensive line has been named to the midseason honor roll by the Joe Moore Award. This is, of course, the award given to the most outstanding line in college football. There are 5 other teams in the SEC right now in Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, Mizzou, and Tennessee that are also with LSU as advancing in this award. Look, we all know the LSU numbers, they're fantastic. Top 10 in total offense, first downs, third down conversion, and really top 5 in the vast majority of these. They're one of only 2 teams to nationally be ranked in the top 10 both rushing and passing yards. Like, they're awesome. I want to look at these other offensive lines of the SEC real quick. First off, UGA's O-line is not that good. A ton of talent, but that's one of the main reasons why they've kind of struggled at times this year is their O-line is kind of inexplicably poor. They're not able to run the ball like they want, and they've struggled in protection at times. Auburn kicked UGA's O-line's ass, and we saw what Auburn did to LSU. Florida couldn't even run against Kentucky, got their ass kicked against Utah. You're out. Mizzou is fine, but nothing special. They're pretty good. They're just not close to where LSU is at. And Kentucky had that one good week against Florida, and I don't know, the big blue wall. A lot was made of it that week. Didn't do too well against Mizzou in that Blake Baker defense. Tennessee is the only other O-line, Jake, that I will show respect for on this list. And statistically, it's probably the only O-line that is as good or maybe even better than LSU. Nobody's better at preventing TFL. Well, I think LSU might actually be first in TFLs. Tennessee second. No, I think it's flipped. Either way, Tennessee is the only one that seems kind of on the same level as LSU. Like, the only reason why that Tennessee team's any good this year is because they somehow were able to change over their identity completely, and it all hinges on that offensive line. They've been excellent at stopping havoc. They have the best rushing attack in the SEC, even when teams know that's all they can really do is run the ball. And one thing to watch for, Jake, because like I said, I think Tennessee and LSU should be finalists for this award. Both teams are going to go into Tuscaloosa and have to take on that Alabama front seven. This weekend is the Vols opportunity. We'll see LSU in a couple of weeks. That could go a long way towards determining who wins this award.
Yeah, because Tennessee, I agree with you. And Tennessee's offense kind of got put into a category of, Hendon Hooker, big plays, Jalen Hyatt, throwing the football. And they did that extremely well. But this is a team that really, if you even go back to a year ago, they averaged 200 yards per game on the ground.
Yeah, they ran it well last year. They just don't have any explosive passes this year like they did.
And the one thing that I always give Josh Heupel credit for is every run is available out of every formation. They will run out of 11 personnel. They'll still run gap scheme runs. They'll run power counter. They'll run the whole gambit of runs. You see some stretch lead. Everything is available, and that makes it very difficult for this team, our team going against this Tennessee rushing attack, to stop them because, well, you have sub personnel on the field, and this offensive line does a nice job of doing their job.
Yeah.
Right? They do exactly what they have to do. They have some advantages because of the sub-package personnel they're going against, but that's a credit to Tennessee and their tight ends for being able to get that done in 11 personnel.
Well, and also teams aren't having to respect Tennessee taking the top off like they were last year. I mean, they can start to commit, if they want to play more cover one or whatever they want to do to try to get more people involved in run defense like they can. And that's the way to beat Tennessee, even last year when they could bomb it. Like, the only games that they struggled is when they couldn't run it. So we'll see. But this, I guess this all started as a conversation about the LSU offensive line, who I think are the best in the conference and probably in the country. But how Tennessee does and how LSU does going forward, especially into T-Town, will help eliminate one from this group.
Life in Louisiana is a song. A symphony of sound, colors, and movement. Life is here, now. For life's moments, big and small, always there. The right card, the right care.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps are held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water, they can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines, or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years.
98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day. After further review on Game Day, presented by the Grove Recovery Center. The Grove Recovery Center. Recovery designed for you. After further review is heard weekday afternoons from 3 to 6 on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Now from AFR, here's Matt Moscona.
Bears countdown to kickoff about a little under 3.5 hours from now for LSU and Army. We bring in Matt Moscona. Scone, good afternoon. How are you?
Hey guys, doing great. Wife's going to the Taylor Swift movie. My son's watching Sesame Street, and I guess you just know when a non-conference opponent is in town in October, this is how your Saturdays go.
Well, let me tell you something. Drew's got it going on because I'd rather watch Sesame Street than Arkansas and Mississippi State. So would have been more entertaining for sure. Bert and Ernie would have converted some third downs maybe once or twice.
Hey, was that the worst SEC game since the 2008 Auburn-Mississippi State 3-2 game?
3-2 game. I remember that one. It's right up there. It was among the most inept offensive games I've ever seen. And okay, so for Mississippi State, you're playing with, and actually, Michael Wright was the best offense that either team had on the day. Him running the ball a little bit was all either one of them had anything going. KJ Jefferson, I've never seen him look quite as out of sorts as he was today, both running and throwing. So Tough one for Arkansas. It's just been their year has kind of spiraled out of control. Matt, this is an unusual spot in the schedule for a non-conference game. It's an unusual opponent. This is not somebody that LSU has played, obviously, since the 1930s. So as a 30-whatever point favorite, 31, 32 point favorite, what are you hoping to accomplish out of this besides, get a win and get out of it healthy?
That's it. I think because of what I'm looking at right now with Alabama down 7 to Tennessee and knowing that they have the open date next week as well, I mean, we always build the calendar around that first Saturday in November. The fact that LSU gets to rest Mekhi Wingo, gets to rest Emory Jones, gets what should be a relatively easy day today. Meanwhile, Alabama's got to go full bore to try to beat Tennessee in a big rivalry game. The way that the schedule fell for LSU in this respect is a huge advantage. So what you said, Hanny, is it. I mean, win this game, stat compile for Jaden Daniels, and get him out of the game as soon as you can, hopefully.
How would you rate LSU's defensive improvement? How much of it is real and how much of it is just Auburn's really that bad?
Well, I think Auburn is really that bad, but so is Arkansas. And LSU didn't have a lot of success against Arkansas defensively. I think there's two things that are the most significant that we've seen the last 2 weeks. The second half against Missouri and then the game against Auburn. I think going to the four-man front is a legitimate advantage because we would all agree LSU's best personnel grouping on this defense is the defensive line. And when you go to a four-man front, you allow those guys to play in the gaps and to be more aggressive and to make plays. So I think that's legitimate. The other, obviously, is you found a designated spot for Harold Perkins, and clearly that's opened him up. I don't think this defense is going to be great. I think there are certainly offenses that can throw the ball that are going to give LSU a lot of problems because the secondary isn't very good. But with the alignment now, you're playing more to your defensive strengths, and I think we've seen that the last game and a half, and I think we'll probably see it tonight as well.
When you look at Jaden Daniels and what he's doing, what does it most remind you of? And it doesn't have to be LSU; it could be anybody. What this run that he is on right now?
Yeah, I think it's RG3. I mean, I think it's if you look at the RG3 season at Baylor when they won the Heisman, their defense was atrocious, and they felt like they had to score every possession. And RG3 threw for 4,200 yards that year and ran for about 600-700 yards. I think Jaden's probably his running ability or necessity is a little more in this LSU offense. But I think if you're looking for a comp, that's it. Really good offense, not a great defense. Feel like you got to score every time down the field, and I think their numbers are going to look specific or similar as well.
Watching Alabama right now, and I assume you've got it on side of Sesame Street. Tennessee has looked. I mean, it was a miraculous catch on the touchdown, but they have been far the best in the first 12 minutes of this game. They're up 7-0, and they're knocking on the door again.
I'm surprised at Tennessee's offense because I thought Alabama. I didn't expect Bama offensively would do much in this game. But remember, guys, this is how this game started a year ago in Knoxville, where Tennessee kind of blitzkrieged Bama, and then they sort of steadied the game, and then Bryce Young started doing Bryce Young things. I think the big difference here, obviously, is Jalen Milroe and Bryce Young.
They better call Bryce Young.
Yeah, that's the gigantic difference. But, I mean, look, on the last drive, Milroe had Bond down the right side, didn't just fly through the ball out of bounds.
Yeah,
he leads him a little bit. That might be a touchdown. So, I think that's probably the biggest takeaway so far. Is I didn't think that Joe Milton and this Tennessee offense moved the ball the way they have against Alabama.
Because I'm watching this game, and look, I don't know how it's going to turn out, but Tennessee could win this game, and Alabama could beat LSU in 2 weeks,
for sure.
and A&M stinks, and all of a sudden I'm sitting here looking at if Ole Miss beats Auburn tonight. I'm not kidding. We could have a November that's literally as that's literally as wide open in the SEC West as any year that we've had since we went to divisional play, Matt.
Yeah, and it's where I've actually started to look at what the 3-team tiebreakers would be. I don't. Have y'all looked at what a 3-team tiebreaker would be?
Yeah, it's common opponents in the division first,
and differential,
right? But all that is the same. So it goes down to like when you have 3 West teams, if they all end up at 7-1 and all have beaten each other, it would come down to your Eastern opponent's winning percentage. So for LSU, it would be Missouri and Florida. For Bama, it would be Tennessee and Kentucky. Am I right on that one? They got Kentucky this year?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And then or is it? And then Ole Miss has Vandy, but they also have Georgia. So if you're LSU, if you play like LSU, probably would end up in the best situation of the three. You just kind of have to keep cheering for Missouri and keep cheering for Florida.
Well, Missouri just scored again, so they're up 2 touchdowns on South Carolina. So,
think of it. If it comes, I don't think it will, but if it did come down to that, like that Missouri win over Kentucky last week could prove to be huge in that divisional tiebreaker thing.
I know we're getting way ahead of ourselves, but
you asked the question.
I did. No. It's just a bizarre, because ordinarily going into the month of November, we've got a pretty good idea of who's going to win the West and who's got a chance to win the West, and a lot of times it comes down to either LSU, Alabama, or the Iron Bowl, and we just may have to pay attention to more things this year if some of this stuff. If some of this stuff holds up. So thought I'd ask, it's a non-conference week. I'm trying to, I'm trying to look at other scenarios here. I didn't want to ask you about defending the Army flex bone here.
There's 8 different tiebreaker scenarios for 3 or more teams. The last one's a coin flip.
Yeah, okay, we don't want that.
So if you go, I think, to the 7th, it's like, because it's all, common opponent, divisional opponent, it's all things that if you have a 3-way tie, it's all the same if they both end up 7-1. And their only losses to each other, right? It would be different if they were 5-3 or 6-2 had beaten each other, and there were others. But if LSU, Bama, and Ole Miss all end up 7-1, and they're each losses to each other, then it would go down to that final tiebreaker where you'd look at your Eastern opponent's winning percentage.
So would they send Lane Kiffin, Brian Kelly, and Nick Saban to some truck stop in Texas like they did in Friday Night Lights?
For the coin.
Gotta have a camera there. Gotta have a camera there.
The SEC Network would televise it, of course.
The ratings would be awesome.
That would be crazy. All right, Scone, Whiskey and Wine following LSU and Army?
Yeah, hopefully a subdued, or not a subdued, but a let's call it a stress-free day. And then T-Bob and I will be live at Don Juan over in Town Center. So come on and join us or watch us on the 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel.
All right, terrific. Thanks, Matt. We'll talk to you in 2 weeks when LSU goes to Tuscaloosa.
Okay, guys.
And we will take a break here. Full scoreboard is straight ahead. We are at Rouse's. Stop by for all your game day goodies here on the way to campus. All your beer, your wine, your spirits, all your ice, all your food right here at Rouse's on Burbank and Lee. Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Life in Louisiana is like a run-on sentence. A poem that doesn't rhyme. Life is here, now. For life's moments, big and small, always there. The right card, the right care.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go.
98.1. The Dependable Storage College Football Scoreboard. Dependable Storage. Let us store your stuff. DependableStorage.com.
Don't look now, but the Vols are on the march again. Already up 10-0 in Tuscaloosa. A Jalen Milroe fumble set Tennessee up inside the 25-yard line. Let's say they have moved inside the 10. They're playing first and goal from the 9. Joe Milton has already thrown a touchdown pass today, and he's still only thrown one, but they will play second and goal from the 9. Under a minute to go in the first quarter in Tuscaloosa. Other games in progress. Third quarter score: Charlotte leads East Carolina 10-0. Georgia Southern leads UL Monroe 31-17. Bowling Green leads Akron 20-7. Number 9 Oregon. Now we move to first quarter scores. Number 9 Oregon and Washington State are tied at 3. At the end of the first quarter, number 20 Missouri leads South Carolina 14-0. Luther Burden with a 42-yard touchdown catch for Mizzou, who we're not rooting for, I guess, because of the tiebreaker thing.
Yeah, I guess so. Man, that's a good point.
Not ready to go there yet. At the end of one, number 24 Iowa and Minnesota are tied at 3. Also at the end of one, Illinois leads Wisconsin 7-0. Late in the first quarter, Nebraska and Northwestern are tied at 3, and that is your Big West.
Yeah, it is. Big Ten West,
Big Ten West.
Plus Mississippi State and Arkansas.
Right.
Honorary members today.
South Florida leading UConn 7-0. Early in the second quarter, Pitt leads Wake Forest 7-0. Also, other second quarter scores: Oklahoma State leads West Virginia 10-7. Ball State leads Central Michigan 7-3. Eastern Michigan and Northern Illinois are tied at 7. Buffalo leads Kent State 7-3. Earlier in the first quarter, number 8 Texas leads Houston 7-0. Quinn Ewers an early touchdown pass. Miami of Ohio and Toledo are scoreless. Games coming up at 5 o'clock. Texas, San Antonio, Florida Atlantic, and Hawaii, New Mexico. 5:30 start for Virginia, number 10 North Carolina. Number 13 Ole Miss at Auburn. That's a 6 o'clock kickoff from Jordan Hare. Texas Tech and BYU also at 6. TCU, Kansas State, App State, Old Dominion, Coastal Carolina, Arkansas State, Colorado State, UNLV, Utah State, San Jose State, all at 6 o'clock. 6:30 kick for number 2 Michigan at Michigan State. How is it that Michigan is 7-0 and still hadn't played anybody?
Yeah, I don't have anything for you there.
The non-conference schedule is the answer you were looking for.
Great schedule making.
Number 16 Duke is at number 4 Florida State. Starting quarterback Riley Leonard for Duke is a game-time decision. 7 o'clock kickoff for number 14 Utah at number 18 USC. Also a 7 o'clock kickoff for Clemson and Miami. Didn't we think those teams would be ranked?
Yeah, this is supposed to have heavy playoff implications.
It does not.
No, it doesn't.
It does not. Teams are combined 2 and 4.
Dabo's yelling at the fans and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
transfer portal, right?
Yeah, what about it?
Just saying.
Never heard of her.
7 o'clock, Georgia State is at UL Lafayette. 8 o'clock kickoff for Nevada and San Diego State. 9:30 kickoff in Seattle. Arizona State at number 5 Washington. And number 25 UCLA is on the farm at Stanford. That's also a 9:30 kickoff. And that is your college football scoreboard. Tennessee kicks a field goal on that drive. So now with about one play to go in this first quarter, the Vols 13 and the Tide nothing. Keep you up to date on that. Ordinarily, we do an opposing media segment in the pregame show, somebody that covers the other team. Well, it was better, we thought, to go straight to the head coach this time. So Matt visited with Army head coach Jeff Monken. We'll have that for you when we return. We are here at Rouse's. Our LeBears countdown to kickoff is about 3 hours and 10 minutes. This is Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Life in Louisiana is a song. A symphony of sound, colors, and movement. Life is here, now. For life's moments, big and small, always there. The right card, the right care.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. I think we're rocking and rolling.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water, they can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines, or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it.
98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Opposing Media. Presented by Rev. Fiber fast internet made in Louisiana.
When we learned the Army Black Knights were coming to Baton Rouge, it certainly created a lot of buzz. And that date is finally here. Saturday, Army and Jeff Monken in his 10th season there at West Point coming into Baton Rouge. He joins us now. Coach, it's our pleasure. Thanks for a couple of minutes today. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks, guys.
Well, we appreciate a couple of minutes. I referenced that this game's been on the docket since 2018. Your program's played a lot of big places: Ohio State, Michigan, Oklahoma, Wisconsin. Some great games that people remember. Can you remember 5 years ago scheduling this game with LSU and how that all transpired?
No, I can't remember, and frankly, I don't know why we did. I have so much respect for the LSU program. They got such a great team. They're well coached, talented, and it's just a tremendous challenge for us.
Well, you know, there's a lot of people excited about your squad coming in. I'm sure you've seen that LSU's got camouflage end zones that they're painting. There's a lot of fanfare, pomp, and circumstance. The governor of Louisiana, of course, is a West Point alum. Coach, 10 years at Army. You know, that's a program that's got amazing history, just aside from West Point, just on the football field as well. 3 national championships, 3 Heisman Trophy winners. But after 10 years, I would imagine some things that you pass by maybe become common and everyday and ordinary. Are there still things after 10 years, places, people, things that you see every day that still awe you at West Point?
This is an incredible place. There's American history at every turn on this campus. So, every day I pull up to my house, I live here on campus. There's a Revolutionary era readout in my yard. So it's essentially a Revolutionary fort. So, I mean, everywhere here, and certainly the football stadium and the history of this great program. But there's no place like West Point. It's I think the most incredible college campus in America.
You've recruited a lot of guys from South Louisiana up there to West Point as well. I'm a proud Catholic High alum. My audience knows that. I yell it all the time. You got Connor Finucane on the squad. I mean, since you've been there at Army, you've recruited 5 Catholic High guys alone to West Point. What is it about maybe that program or just about recruiting in Louisiana that has stood out to you?
Well, certainly the Catholic program is a winning program, and just the young men that they turn out each year. They're great students. They're mature. They're professional. They're ready for the rigors of a place like West Point, and the guys that we've gotten have all been good football players. So that's certainly been a good place for us. But the state of Louisiana in general, we've signed a lot of guys out of Louisiana. We're going to bring Miles Stewart from New Orleans with us on the trip. He plays running back. He's a terrific player. So it's a place that we've continued to go back to, and we'll continue to do that as long as I'm the coach here. I think football is important to the young men that play high school football down there. Football is important to that state, and so we've had good luck with those guys. But there's several guys coming up in our program, young guys like Jake Rizzo, who's from state of Louisiana. All those guys I think are going to be good football players for us.
Jeff Monken is with us, Army's head coach. I think a lot of people know your cousin as well, Todd Monken, who was a coach here at LSU in 05 and 06 under Les Miles. Did you ever have Thanksgiving conversations about his days coaching in Baton Rouge and what it was like?
Oh, he had a great experience there. He loved coaching at LSU and living down there, and he spent a good number of years in Louisiana, both at LSU as well as Louisiana Tech. And Todd's he's a tremendous football coach, and I know he really enjoyed his time. Was glad he had that opportunity to coach there at LSU and have that experience.
Coach, so much. I would imagine you've had to talk about the offensive transition ad nauseum, but I remember reading a very long feature that you did with Sports Illustrated this summer about having to transition from the traditional triple option and how that's all gone because of the cut blocking rules in the NCAA. I'm going to ask you just a very broad question. I mean, this is the first full year, obviously, or I guess the second first year of the implementation. I can look at a record and see 2-4. We've had some close calls against BC and some really good opponents. But from your perspective here, halfway through, how is that offensive transition going for you?
There's some growing pains, certainly, and I anticipated there would be. I didn't. I'd hoped we could just roll right into it and score a bunch of points and win a bunch of football games. But there's some growing pains, and guys transitioning from the positions they played in the previous system, just the personnel fits at each particular spot. I mean, it's just going to take some time, and hopefully not too much longer. Obviously, we'd like to play a lot better on Saturday night against LSU. They got an incredibly talented football team. We're going to have to play really well if we're going to have a chance. But we got some important games coming up, certainly after that one as well. And our 2 academy rivals are still out there, and that was part of the I guess the reason for wanting to do something a little bit different, to continue to try to be competitive in those games. And we've won a good majority of those games over the last several years, but we're scoring 3 points in regulation on offense and 7 points or 14 points, and really they've been defensive battles, and I just wonder how much longer we can sustain that. And so just with the blocking rule changes a year ago, and I think the academy games being so important to us, I felt like we needed to make that move, and I know it's the right move. We've had some really great moments. I thought our guys played a a complete, well-executed game against UTSA, who I have a lot of respect for and I think is a good football team. Played a good half against Syracuse in the first half, played a good half in the second half against Boston College, and then didn't play a good half at all against Troy this last weekend. So we've kind of been up and down a little bit, but our guys are getting better the more we do it, and every day I see improvements, and so hopefully we're gonna start to click.
Just a couple more for you, Coach. Obviously, a big part of the offense would be having Bryson Daly healthy. I know you spoke about him on Tuesday and said he was feeling, your starting quarterback, that he was feeling better, maybe coming along. Can you give us an update here on how he's doing?
Well, we continue to try to nurse him back to good health. Some positives yesterday. He's able to move around a little bit at practice, and so that's something we're going to have to just kind of evaluate as we go through the next couple of days before we travel.
It's LSU and Army Saturday night, Tiger Stadium, 6:30 p.m. Coach, I know you also mentioned earlier this week you've known Brian Kelly since his days at Grand Valley State. I'm curious, can you just elaborate a little bit on that relationship? I saw early in your coaching career you were a GA at Hawaii and then maybe spent some time at Buffalo. How did you two cross paths back in the late 80s, early 90s?
Well, I had my cousin Todd was an assistant coach at Grand Valley State for Tom Beck, and his younger brother Ted, my other cousin, played at Grand Valley State. So there was a connection there with Coach Kelly being at Grand Valley State. My cousin Ted having been a player there, and Coach Kelly had a job open on his staff. He was gracious enough to interview me for a job. This is, oh my goodness, this is probably early 90s, and he didn't hire me for the job, but got a chance to visit with him, and he's just been incredibly successful. But just over the years, we've crossed paths and coached against each other, and obviously have great respect for him and just all he's accomplished. He's just a tremendous football coach, and the great success he had at Grand Valley State, Cincinnati, Notre Dame, and now LSU.
Coach, Tiger Stadium has been known to not be so gracious to visitors. I have a feeling not only will we see a first in Tiger Stadium on Saturday with Army coming in, but we'll see an opponent cheered in Tiger Stadium maybe for the first time ever as well. Continued success. We can't thank you enough for a couple of minutes here today.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Life in Louisiana is like a run-on sentence. A poem that doesn't rhyme. Life is here, now. For life's moments, big and small, always there. The right card, the right care.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there.
98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Talkin' Tigers. Talkin' Tigers. Presented by TRICARE. TRICARE. For all your gas or diesel vehicles needs, take it to TRICARE. Talkin' Tigers. Offensive lineman Will Campbell.
Coach Davis coaches everybody, as if they're getting ready to play. So, we expect nothing else to change. It is unfortunate that Emory goes down, and, hopefully he'll be ready for, the game in a few weeks. So, we'll just take this game one game at a time and see how it goes.
Linebacker Omar Speets.
It just felt good to be back out there, playing again with my brothers. It just took a long time for me to get back. I wasn't used to being out, but that first game back, it was just fun being out there.
Wide receiver Malik Neighbors.
I would say I elevated my game of being more explosive. A lot of people ask me, what I was focused on and going into the season was to be more explosive, like, in the first 4 games that I've been having, first, 6 games that we didn't have, I didn't become more explosive and being that receiver that, is a go-to receiver right now.
Defensive lineman Parrish Shand.
Going against our O-line is great. It made me a much better player. If you watch my film in Arizona, or you even watch my film in the spring, it's significantly different. You see a different player than you see right now, and I feel like our offensive line is a big piece of why I'm so much better now, because just going against the best every day has just made me better. Being able to watch the film and see, okay, I didn't do this right, I didn't do that right, and I'm playing against guys that you see what they're doing on offense every week, so going against those guys is great.
Offensive lineman Will Campbell.
Charles is, the vocal leader. He's the communicator. He's the guy who we look to make all the calls and stuff, and he does an excellent job out there every Saturday, so I couldn't be more happy for Charles.
Linebacker Omar Speets.
I think it's a lot better. I think we're communicating better, playing off each other better, bringing a lot more intensity, being way more physical, tackling better. We've been taking strides, and I think we still trying to keep on building so that we could be that much better each and every week.
Wide receiver Malik Neighbors.
He continues to come here at 5:30 in the morning, watch film, try to focus on things to get better on, always, putting in work after practice with us as a receiver group. And just the little things that he does, throughout the week, it's just progressing like when he's on the field. It's something that he came into this year, wanting to focus on was winning the Heisman, and, his stuff that he's been producing for him to be running up for the Heisman is pretty good showing.
Defensive lineman Parrish Shand.
When Pete came, he really helped us with the timing of how to see when the quarterback's gonna throw the ball. So I feel like just seeing that and being able to kind of peek when you're getting around the O-lineman, if you're kind of stuck a little bit but you can see he's gonna throw, it's just a big thing. Just getting the hand up and not swinging it, not trying to block it, but just get it up.
Offensive lineman Will Campbell.
Obviously, everybody appreciates what they do for our country and all that, but Saturday night, the lights are going to come on and it's going to be a football game, and, so we got to prepare just like it is anybody else and go out there and take it to them just like we would anybody else, even though we do respect everything that they do on the, off the field, but this is a football game on Saturday.
Linebacker Omar Speets.
They still kind of run the triple option, just in like a different, they not under center no more. They kind of do it from shotgun sometimes, but it's just all about, preparing the same way, but having great eyes, great technique, just being more physical than them.
Wide receiver Malik Neighbors.
Yeah, it's a lot of improvements that we plan on fixing throughout the week. I had a drop in the end zone, we can kind of say it was pretty back shoulder, Jaden put it on me quick, but it's a play that I have to make. And it was a lot of, different techniques that we should have did better while we was in the red zone, but we want to always score touchdowns, but, if we can get 3, it's not pretty bad.
Defensive lineman Parrish Shand.
I think we're just getting better week after week. We've done a great job, in practice, getting after it so that in the game it's easy. I feel like in practice, every single time, every single day, there's something that we work on, and then you can just see it's getting better.
Offensive lineman Will Campbell.
Just like Coach Davis tells us, you're one weekend away from getting embarrassed. So there's really nothing that we're looking forward to. This is our main focus is, Saturday night against Army, and, that's where everybody's focused at in the building because they're a physical football team and they can give us a run for our money if we don't, come out there and do what we need to do. So we have to be locked in and do what we do.
Talking Tigers, Eagle 98.1, Game Day.
Life in Louisiana is a song. A symphony of sound, colors, and movement. Life is here, now. For life's moments, big and small, always there. The right card, the right care.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water, they can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines, or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Keys to the B. Presented by Coors Light. Coors Light. Mountain cold refreshment made to chill.
And we return here at Rouse's. Alabama has just scored a touchdown to cut the lead to 13-7 now. That game is about midway through the second quarter. We bring in Richard Dixon, who'll be with us later on the post game. Rich, you've been out on campus a little bit with some tailgating and stuff going on. Must be a unique atmosphere with so many Army veterans on campus today.
Man, it's really cool. I was just talking to my wife about that. The amount of Army veterans walking around. It's like the most exciting yet like humble, nice tailgate atmosphere I've ever been around. Like nobody's tiger baiting anybody, but there's a bunch of Army fans around. It's pretty cool to see.
You know, we were visiting earlier. I got to give a shout out to the Frogs, the F4, the class of '97. They had a tailgate going on today with a lot of other people. So we've been on campus for however many hundreds of games, and today's a little bit different. But Rich, from a football standpoint, and I know how you felt about non-conference games. You tried not to treat them any different than the conference games as far as your preparation for it, but this is a non-conference game at an unusual point in the schedule for non-conference games. LSU is a huge favorite today, and they are getting ready to go on break, which I know that they are anticipating. So going to be tough to mentally stay sharp here and not avoid a letdown to open this game.
No doubt, Charlie. This is the worst time for this game before a bye week before Alabama. Like, I could not put together a worse scenario for a letdown. I kind of expect one. We talked about it on the podcast. We talked about it Friday. I can see where guys are a little loose early on, but they get it going in the second half. There's so much respect for the Army team that everybody's excited to play them. But I know these players are looking forward to that break, and they look at this as an easy win.
Well, when you play a team like Army, now they don't play the same offense that they did for years. This is more of a flex bone, if you will, but they're throwing the ball a good bit off the formation. So it's not a complete break. So when you look at the defense and the progress that they've made over the last 3 weeks, what are you looking for tonight?
I continue to see them kind of work on new things. I mean, let's be honest. The last 3 weeks we've seen a new defense. Defense has been the problem. It's something they're working on. They're trying to play a little bit more zone. They're throwing a lot of cover zero last week against Auburn where they felt comfortable with it. I expect them to throw some more cover zero in today and then continue to work on different coverages and different blitz packages.
We talked about this on Friday, but I need you to go over it again. What realistically can they use cover zero for when they get back into Southeastern Conference play? And I say this with them having run it against Auburn last week, but Auburn is limited on the perimeter. How much of that do you think they can play moving forward?
I think there's some. I mean, it looked good against Auburn. I see them to try it in early down situations and running situations where they don't expect them to go over the top. It's going to be a chess match when they decide to do it. But once they get comfortable and if they feel – last week, the first time we saw a heavy dose of it. If they run it this week, they see a heavy dose of it, it works out. I feel like they'll try it again, the first SEC opponent against Alabama. But, I mean, it's one of those tools, like, we might hit big on this, but if it doesn't work, we're going to get back out of it and go back to what we do.
Richard, you've been on some offenses that were really rolling. I mean, felt good about pretty much everything you were doing. This offense has got to feel like that right now. Listen, I know everybody's ready for the bye week, but when you're playing this well, baseball hitters don't want to sit down. I don't know how football players feel about that. Like when you're on a roll, you just kind of want to keep going.
Look, I'm telling you, when I know that I need another touchdown or 2 more touchdowns to break a record, this is the game I want to do it in. I mean, this is a stat padding game. I'm like, listen, Coach, I don't give a damn what's going on. I want 10 passes in the first half. I want to get my records up, get my numbers up, and let's be going.
All right, let's talk about keys to the V. Your keys to the V for LSU here against Army. They are a huge favorite tonight in Tiger Stadium.
My keys to the V is, continue to perfect your lane integration. I mean, that's been a problem for us. It hasn't cost us the last couple games, but in these big games we got coming up, if these guys don't stay in the lane, stay in their rush integration, it causes big plays. So I'm walking back to my truck right now to go watch the game at the house, and I hope to see everybody stay lane integrity.
All right. Well, we'll see you for the post game, 90 minutes after LSU and Auburn. Rich, we'll talk to you then.
All right, man. See you later.
Richard Dixon with keys to the V. Alabama showing some signs of life here. They get the touchdown, and then Tennessee did convert a third down.
Why didn't he just keep running straight?
Joe Milton lunging forward for the first down here. This has been a struggle for Alabama. And honestly, Musso, Tennessee's left some points on the board. Milton overthrew a touchdown pass. They had to settle for a field goal on that drive. And we've seen this movie before. You get Alabama down, you better bury them, put the tombstone on top of it, and have a guard on top of the tombstone, because they will come back like a bad horror movie. They'll keep coming back up out of the floorboards to grab you.
It could have easily been 21-0 instead of 13, and Look, you're right. I mean, I know Alabama's offense has struggled this year, obviously, but it's still Alabama. They still got a lot of playmakers out there on the field, and the longer you let them hang around, the playmakers are gonna make those plays.
Like I said, they're like a bad horror movie. They keep coming back at you.
One last scare, right? Yeah.
We are here at Rouse's, Burbank and Lee. Such a wonderful host for us. So if you're on your way into campus and you need some supplies, stop on over to Rouse's. Huge selection of wine, beer, and spirits that you can get here. They never run out of ice. So much here out of the bakery or the chop house or the Mongolian grill that you can get pre-prepared food, or huge meat selection, and of course a full-service grocery store. You can download the app, have them do the shopping for you, and pick it up as well. So stop on over here at Rouse's, and don't forget about the Rouse's brand. When they put the Rouse's label on something, they make their own products, and it's so many of the products that you get from the national brands, but they get them at a much lower price. So stop on over here to Rouse's, Burbank and Lee, on your way into campus. We'll visit with the voice of the Tigers, Chris Blair. That is next. Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Life in Louisiana is like a run-on sentence. A poem that doesn't rhyme. Life is here, now. For life's moments, big and small, always there. The right card, the right care.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the
98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Inside the stadium. Inside the stadium. Presented by K to Z Window Coverings. K to Z Blinds.com, where style meets functionality, both inside and out.
So before we bring in Chris Blair, I want to just point something out to football fans all over the place. When you have a 4th down and
Yes.
6 inches, what you want to do is
Yes.
you want to snap the ball 6 yards back.
Yes.
So you have to make 6 yards and 6 inches instead of just 6 inches.
And you want to go around the edge and not just straight up the middle.
Correct.
Just to lengthen it even more.
You do that when you have a quarterback that's about 240 pounds and about 6'5".
Yeah.
What you do is you snap it as far behind the line of
far as
scrimmage
you
as you can. So you have to make it hard on yourself when you go to Tuscaloosa. I'm just saying. All right. Tennessee did not make the 4th down and short, and Alabama is set up in excellent field position inside the Tennessee 25-yard line now, trailing at 13-7. Now, let's bring in Chris Blair since we've done the coaching clinic over here. Chris, good afternoon. How are you?
Yeah, I got to agree with you, Charlie. I mean, it's you're making things harder when. But hey, as they tell us, they don't practice it under center, so they can't do it in the game.
Start practicing it. carve out a few minutes every day. You know, send the center and the quarterback over there to work on this a little bit. Chris, you're on campus right now. We were just talking with Richard Dixon, and he's been kind of out moving around between some of the tailgates and stuff. What are you seeing on campus right now? Because this is a unique environment for Tiger Stadium, given the opponent coming in.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there is some uniqueness to it, as you pointed out. I think a lot of people, when they saw the schedule and looked at the non-conference and making decisions on which game they would go to and not go to, I think the Army game probably fired a few people up, just to see Army and, the historical significance of it. But it's certainly not the feeling on campus at the moment, anyway. And as I walk from the admin building over the Maravich Center and over here to Tiger Stadium, not quite crawling like it was against Arkansas and certainly not against Auburn. But it is a good crowd. I mean, I think that overall people are responding to watching LSU and Army tonight.
All right, as much as you can tell us without I know there's some surprises tonight, but there's some stuff that's planned, and we've already seen the end zones painted in a camouflage. So as much as you can reveal without spoiling surprises, what are we going to have here tonight as far as, extras that go along with this game?
Well, I think it's interesting because there is going to be some pageantry that is unique to this matchup, and that's kind of the plan. Prior to the start of the game and even following the end of the game. And I'm not giving away any secrets here. I've known Jeff Monken for 13 years. And one of the things Jeff has done as a head coach, well before he got to Army, was after the game, win or lose, his teams go to their crowd, wherever they happen to be, home or away, and they sing the alma mater. And that's something that he continued, obviously, when he got to West Point. So, that might give you a little clue as to what will happen post-game. But, again, there's going to be some pomp and circumstance, as you talked about, the end zones. But overall, I think once boot meets ball, I mean, it comes down to a college football game. And, as Jeff said on Tuesday during his press conference, it's a challenge for Army, but they're coming here trying to possess the football, take away opportunities for Jaden Daniels and this incredible offense. And for LSU, I think it's an opportunity to continue those numbers offensively, but also work defensively after much improved performances over the last 2 weeks.
And Army looks different offensively. They're running some different stuff. I kind of liken it to a little bit of a transitional period from what they were running to what they're running now. They struggled last week. They did not score against Troy. When you run one system for a long time and you got to change, that's a tough transition, Chris. And I think that's what it appears that's what Army's going through right now.
100%. Monken was a disciple of the Paul Johnson triple option in the flex bone, where you do have a quarterback under center all of the time. You have the fullback as the featured running back, which typically is maybe a little bigger than what you would expect in a typical tailback. And then you've got slot backs who are kind of, a hybrid role where they can go out, catch a seam pass now and again, but they're kind of the pitch man. So, they've had to take all of their running backs, fullbacks and slot backs, and make them running backs, and then snap the football into the shotgun formation. Now, all of those fundamentals are still there. You'll still see the dive. You'll still see the quarterback, who leads this team in rushing and in passing, pull and try to get around the edge. Sometimes they'll motion one of those receivers or tight ends prior to the snap. Sometimes they will motion behind the shotgun simply because they're the pitch man. They're the guy that'll be on the end. I think the only real tweak to this offense from going under center to behind center in the shotgun is that they are attempting to throw the ball a little bit more. And I've said it a bunch this week. Last season, Army played 12 games, and they attempted 104 passes. They played 6 games this year, and they've attempted 97. So that is a big difference from a head coach that I knew in 2013 that went to the Swamp and attempted 1 pass. It was incomplete. He never threw it again and beat Florida 26-20.
I do remember that game. I remember that game very well. Chris, you get to spend some time with Brian Kelly on Thursday nights for the coaches show, and I'm asking because listen, it's a long road from when you report to the break. Okay, we're talking about somewhere in the area of 3 months. Those guys don't ever get a break, so there's a break coming, but they got to finish this up first. So no senioritis, I guess, right before they get out of here for a break.
Yeah, I mean, I asked Coach Thursday night as to kind of what is the plan in the bye week, and he's big on recovery. So job number one is to come in here and play well, build on, as I said earlier, what they've done defensively, tackling so much better, imposing their will at the line of scrimmage. We're seeing this front seven do what we kind of thought they would do to start the season, and for whatever reason it wasn't there. So that's job number one. But job number two is coming in, get out of here healthy as possible. Going to be some guys that won't play tonight, not because they necessarily couldn't go, but they're going to see if they can give them a solid, 3 weeks basically of rest. And as I said, he's big on recovery. So that's kind of what LSU will do next week, and get ready and try to ramp it back up during the bye week and come back for game week and get ready for the biggest game of the year.
By the way, Alabama threw an interception in the end zone, and Tennessee has got a drive going back the other way. So under a minute to go in Tuscaloosa. Tennessee still leading that game 13-7. They're inside the Alabama 15-yard line. Chris, at the bottom of the hour, we'll turn it over to you guys and Hunt Palmer and the gang. What's coming up on Network Pregame?
We're excited. Garrett Brumfield again going to sit in for Brandon Taylor and Marlon Fabright and Hunt, and they'll talk about this game. And it's going to be key because they do have Tiger Roundtable, and they're going to try to kind of dig into. I talked to Hunt a few minutes ago, kind of dig into what's different about this Army offense this year, because the truth is it's still built to be a possession offense. And Coach Monken said it on Tuesday. We're going to try to limit the touches that Jaden Daniels gets. But being out of the shotgun and throwing the ball a little bit more, they can get into, 3 and out as quick as anybody in the country, which will spell trouble for them. So they'll break down that matchup. They're also going to talk a little bit about men's and women's basketball, Charlie, because next week exhibition play begins, and here we are headed into November, and there's going to be, not a total switch, but you'll add 2 more sports to the mix for LSU with the reigning national champ women's basketball and Matt McMahon. Pretty excited about, the team he's assembled. So that's kind of what we got coming up.
Well, I know that you will enjoy the break next week, so have a great call. Enjoy that weekend, that rare weekend off, and we will talk to you the next time from Tuscaloosa in a couple of weeks.
Sounds good, Charlie. I can't wait to wake up tomorrow. I'll have that honey-do list laying on the kitchen island, and there'll be plenty to do before we go to Tuscaloosa.
Hire somebody to do it, Chris. Take the weekend off. Thanks a lot, buddy.
All right, guys.
Appreciate it. Okay, Musso, Tennessee has got a 1st and goal here. Is this 1st and 10?
It's 4th and 1.
Oh, it's 4th and 1. What is it with the ball spotting in this game?
I don't know. I don't really know what you have to do to get a first down in Tuscaloosa today if you're wearing white and orange.
You have to be 6 inches past where you need to be.
Apparently. I mean, he wasn't he?
Yes,
that's like the Jaden Daniels touchdown at Missouri that wasn't. His whole body is past the line.
Yeah, even if the ball is in his midsection, he's well past the line to gain there. And you have to be pretty creative with your spotting to put him behind where he needs to go. They're inside of him. I mean, this is not even close. The Tennessee should be playing a 1st down and 10, but right now it's 4th down and 1. The line to gain is the Alabama 10-yard line, and we're inside of a minute to go in the first half. Tennessee has completely outplayed Alabama.
They have.
But they've made some mistakes. The 4th and 1 where they give Alabama a chance there. They They had to end up turning them back from that. They overthrew a touchdown in the end zone. They're up 6, and it feels like they should probably be up 16 right now. And we know what happens when you let Alabama hang around for too long. So they're going to go back and look at this and say, Tennessee, this is what I –
There we go. First down.
They gave him a first down.
Yeah, they gave him the first down.
Okay.
Which they should have done in the first place. I mean, like you said, it wasn't close. His whole body was over the line.
Okay, and I get that, but what is it that you go back and when you look at, and I've seen 2 or 3 reviews today, I see multiple ones every week where they go and they review this pile, okay, on 3rd or 4th and short or 3rd and 4th and goal, and it's like, I'm sorry, once you've spotted the ball and you go back and you're just looking at a rugby scrum in there, how are you supposed to re-spot the ball? But they did, and so now Tennessee playing first and goal from the 10-yard line with 28 seconds to go. Full scoreboard is straight ahead here from Rouse's, corner of Burbank and Lee. Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Life in Louisiana is a song. A symphony of sound, colors, and movement. Life is here. Now, for life's moments, big and small, always there. The right card, the right care.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water, they can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines, or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours
98.1. The Robinson Brothers Ford Lincoln College Football Scoreboard. Robinson Brothers Ford Lincoln, on air line under the giant American flag.
With 12 seconds to go in the first half, Joe Milton connects with what I believe was his fullback for a touchdown pass to put Tennessee up 19-7 with the conversion to come. 12 seconds to go in Tuscaloosa. Milton's thrown for 175 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Musso, they had to really trust him here. They didn't have any timeouts left. This was 3rd down from the 6-yard line. He had to throw the ball to the end zone. He couldn't take a sack. He obviously couldn't throw a pick. And they didn't have another timeout, and it was 3rd down, so they couldn't come up and spike it either. and he comes through with that may be one of his best throws of the day.
That was really nice, and it was a great play design too. They brought the like you said, the fullback or the upback completely across the formation there. That was really nice.
They kicked the extra point, so it is 20-7. Tennessee with 12 seconds to go to the break. They'll have to kick off, but it appears if that'll be our halftime score. Other games in progress. A minute to go. Charlotte leads East Carolina 10-7, but the Pirates with the ball inside the 35-yard line with a minute and 2 seconds to go, trailing by 3. Also in the fourth quarter, Georgia Southern leads UL Monroe 31-20, 7 minutes to go there. And Bowling Green finishing off Akron 41-14 with about 3 minutes to go. They, I think, have gone to the half in Eugene. Oregon gets a touchdown. No, hang on. They still got 5 seconds to go. Oregon got a touchdown inside of a minute to make it 17-10. It's still there, but Washington State went down the field in less than 40 seconds, and they've got a chance for at least a field goal try here with 6 seconds to go. The field goal is good, so make it now 17-13. Oregon with 1 second left on the clock, so they'll have to kick off in Eugene there.
Tennessee kicked it out of bounds.
Oh, don't do that.
That's
number 20. Missouri leads South Carolina 24-3. Nearly 300 yards of total offense for Missouri. Brady Cook has a touchdown pass and a touchdown run for the Tigers. Number 23, Tulane leading North Texas 21-0. That game is at the half. Michael Pratt has thrown 2 touchdown passes for the Wave. Number 24, Iowa leads Minnesota at the half 10-3. What kind of odds am I getting in Vegas? That'll be the final score too. 10-3.
Brad, I'd say that'd be the favorite there, so you're not getting plus money.
Total was 30.5.
Yeah.
Pacing under.
Might have been too high.
Illinois leads Wisconsin 14-7. There's 1 second to go to the half in Champaign. They're at the break in Lincoln. Nebraska leads Northwestern 10-6. Other games at halftime. UConn leads South Florida 14-10. Pittsburgh and Wake are tied at 7. West Virginia leads Oklahoma State 17-3. Ball State leads Central Michigan 10-3. Eastern Michigan and Northern Illinois are tied at 10. Buffalo and Kent State. Buffalo has a 14-6 lead. 6 minutes to go to the half in Houston. Number 8, Texas leads 21-7. Quinn Ewers has thrown a pair of touchdown passes for the Longhorns. 2 minutes to go to the break at Miami of Ohio. Toledo leads 14-3 in that one. Earlier finals today. Number 3, Ohio State beat number 7, Penn State 20-12. Kyle McCord threw for 286 yards and a touchdown. Marvin Harrison, 11 catches, 162 yards and a score for the Buckeyes, who stay unbeaten at 7-0. They hand Penn State their first loss of the season. It was a struggle in Norman, but number 6, Oklahoma beat Central Florida 31-29. Dylan Gabriel threw 3 touchdown passes for Oklahoma, but they had to turn back a 2-point conversion that would have given UCF the tie inside of a minute to go. Number 22, Air Force moves their record to 7-0. They were without their starting quarterback today. Hang on, it's saying Larrier played.
Yeah, he is.
Wait, I'm just getting. This is new information here. I thought Larrier had been called out of that game. He threw for 151 yards and a touchdown, and Air Force beats Navy 17-6. Awful game in Fayetteville today. Mississippi State beats Arkansas 7-3 in just an ugly offensive affair. Michael Wright getting the start at quarterback for the injured Will Rogers for Mississippi State. Had 11 carries for 60 yards. He was pretty much all of the offense for either team today. Rutgers gets bowl eligible. They beat Indiana 31-14. Boston College beats Georgia Tech 38-23. Baylor beat Cincinnati 32-29, had to withstand a late rally from the Bearcats as they scored 15 unanswered in the fourth quarter, but Baylor gets the win there. Memphis beat UAB 45-21, and Ohio beat Western Michigan 20-17. Games getting ready to go at the top of the hour. Texas San Antonio is at Florida Atlantic, and Hawaii is at New Mexico. 5:30 kickoff at Chapel Hill. Virginia at number 10 North Carolina, who is unbeaten, and Tez Walker is very much eligible and very much a factor. Number 13 Ole Miss is at Auburn. That's a 6 o'clock kick on ESPN. In Provo, Texas Tech is at BYU for a 6 o'clock kickoff. Other 6 o'clock kickoffs, TCU's at Kansas State. App State's at Old Dominion, Coastal Carolina at Arkansas State, Colorado State at UNLV, and Utah State at San Jose State. 6:30 kickoff as number 2 Michigan is at Michigan State. Wolverines a 25-point favorite. Cloud hanging over Michigan right now over alleged sign stealing. You cannot send coaches out to do advanced work in person. Michigan is being accused that they did. They have suspended the staffer that they sent out there. That investigation is still ongoing, and it's on top of the other recruiting violations that they had on top of that.
And the suspension already for Jim Harbaugh this season because of that.
Which was it was a 3-game suspension, and there could be more to come there. 6:30 kickoff in Tallahassee. Very important game in the ACC as number 16 Duke is at Florida State. Riley Leonard, starting quarterback for Duke, is a game-time decision. 7 o'clock kickoff for number 14 Utah and number 18 USC. Also for Clemson and Miami, Georgia State and UL Lafayette. 8 o'clock kickoff for Nevada and San Diego State. 9:30 kickoffs for Arizona State against number 5 Washington, and number 25 UCLA is on the form to take on Stanford. And that is your college football scoreboard. Southern University also at home this afternoon. They are leading. They're on the road. Leading Bethune-Cookman 14-7. That game's got about 4 minutes to go to the break. We will take a break here at Rouse's and come back and get ready to hand it over to the network. This is Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance shops, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. I think we're rocking and rolling.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-909.
98.1.
Rouse's. Again, we remind you to come out to Rouse's. Download the app. Have them do your shopping for you. Or if you're on your way into the game, this one or some of the games in November, stop by here at Rouse's. You're going to have everything you need for your tailgating right here. Huge selection of beer, huge selection of wines and spirits. They never run out of ice here. All of your stuff from the bakery, stuff from the chop house, your fresh Louisiana seafood, everything right here at Rouse's. Easy to pick up, and we're just a couple of miles off of campus. Well, so this is a unique atmosphere, as we talked about. I think that there is a line between showing respect for your opponent, which I certainly think that that's going to happen. I think there's a good balance here between that and what Will Campbell said, which is after we shake hands and toss the coin and everybody respects everybody, we got to go play a football game. And so that part you can divide it, okay? You can have respect for your opponent, and like Richard was telling us, there may not be the normal amount of tiger baiting and booing and things like that when an SEC team comes in, but I do expect that LSU will be ready to play in this game.
I do too. I mean, I think it's been interesting to hear the difference in opinions, I guess, with it, Handy, too, because, I mean, Richard was talking about it being a quintessential letdown spot, but, I kind of, as we touched on early in the show, at the top of the show, I think it's a good opportunity to give you rest before the bigger game of the year. Now, again, you still have to go out there and play, and I think they will. At LSU, I haven't once this year felt watching the Tigers that they weren't ready to go play the game. Like, there hasn't been one time that they have come out and I've been like, man, they've come out really because they're not ready. Like, there's been times where they've got off to a slow start, but I don't really think maybe that's more towards the the opposing team. I don't really think it's been they're sleepwalking here, they're not ready. So I don't really expect that this week either.
We've seen some Army teams. We've seen some teams from the service academies that would just really give you hell. Army played Oklahoma a few years ago to an overtime game. If this was Air Force coming in this week, I would be legitimately concerned about the outcome of the game. Air Force has got one of their best teams. And we've seen some Army teams in the past decade under Monken that were enough to give you all you wanted. This one is not, or at least on paper it's not. And once they kick the ball, everything's up for grabs. But this team, 2-4, they didn't score against Troy last week. Okay, so whether it's the transition of the offense or it's just a down year, this is not one of the better Army teams under Monken. On paper, it just isn't.
Look, he kind of said as much too, Hanny, on Tuesday. I mean, it's funny going into these games. You always have some coach will be like, we're going to go in there, play really hard, and see if we're in it at the end. Jeff Monken sounded like they had already lost by 40 on Tuesday when he was talking about this game. So I mean, that was kind of the moment for me. I'm like, this isn't the same. It's not the same.
What else is not the same is what's going on in Tuscaloosa. They put up it's 20-7 Tennessee at the half. They put up a stat of revenge games against Saban. 20-2. This is somebody that beat them the year before. You come back the next year. He's 20-2 in that situation, and I think they said 16 of those games were by double-digit wins. This looks completely different. We've been watching this game as the show is going on. Tennessee has controlled this action. The statistical edge is pretty significant. Tennessee has run the ball for 100 yards. Alabama has run 17 times for 16 yards. Joe Milton has had a couple of overthrows, but he's thrown for 175 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Jalen Milroe has thrown for 117 yards, a touchdown, but also an interception. Alabama also has a lost fumble in this game. If it's not for the fumble or the 4th and 1, Tennessee would have possessed the ball even longer on that one. This is not a fluke. This is not a game where, there's been a bad bounce here. Tennessee is controlling this, and at 30 minutes to go. It's an eternity in that stadium. But
that's true.
They are controlling this action so far. And, frankly, having watched Tennessee against Texas A&M last week, this is a bit of a surprise. Maybe it shouldn't be. It's college football. It's different week to week.
Offensively, it's definitely a surprise. I think we knew Tennessee's defense. They're completely. It was Jimmy earlier, right? Talking about they're completely flipped from last year. But the revenge thing. That's one of the reasons I liked Alabama so much in this game. And they were playing with legitimate revenge, and they've looked like the inferior team. And something to watch, Handy, right before half. starting right guard went out of the game. And
For Alabama?
Yeah, I don't want to speculate anything, but I mean, he was helped. He was not putting any weight on his left leg, and that's a position that they've had plenty of problems with along the offensive line. That's something to keep an eye on going forward for sure.
Your thoughts about Ole Miss and Auburn?
I like Auburn to cover the spread. I think Ole Miss will probably eke out a win, but
it's 6.5 now. So if they cover the spread, you're talking about a one-score game.
Yeah, it could be a field goal. I mean, I could see that game coming down to a field goal though, because it's just Auburn's got to get off the mat there, man. You got humiliated. You have to have a little pride. You're going back home where Jordan-Hare is extremely tough, and Ole Miss on the road, the offense has not hummed like it does at home.
I'm of the opinion that Ole Miss is significantly better. We've seen both of these teams. We've seen the personnel, and I just think that Ole Miss is significantly better. I should know better than to fall in a trap of a road favorite. And I'm not saying, go play the game or put in our picks or anything like that, but Ole Miss is just significantly more talented. They've got a much better quarterback. I suspect that Hugh Freeze will get this thing going. He always, at every other stop he has, but right now he just does not have the engine to make the car go. I know they hung in there with Georgia, but I expect the Rebels to win this game by multiple scores. Okay.
Well, Georgia was vastly more talented too. I mean, that's just I can't get that game out of that game out of my head.
And that's completely fair. You give any advice to Spencer Rattler at the half, like maybe throw a ball to one of his
to a receiver on your team?
The white jerseys.
I don't know. I would just say keep everything out of Shane Beamer's way. We don't need two broken foots here.
No, well, if he was frustrated last week, you can imagine this week. But they got a drive going to start the second half. Missouri is leading South Carolina by a score of 24-3. Thanks to the folks here at Rouse's for being our pregame host. We will be back 90 minutes after the end of LSU and Army for Eagle 98.1's post-game wrap-up. Also, whiskey and wine immediately following the game. That is from Don Juan's Cigar Bar. From all of us here at Rouse's, everybody back at the flagship, I'm Charles Hanniger saying thank you and good afternoon. This has been Eagle 98.1 Game Day.